Chapter 2038. What kind of laws are these? They're seriously interfering with Ai's soul perception. Once they entered the cemetery of death, Shun Daoshu immediately sensed that his soul perception had been greatly affected. He couldn't even tell which direction to go. Moreover, their strength was suppressed to the ancestor realm under the influence of the cemetery of death's spatial laws. This graveyard of death should contain the laws of 3 universes. If we want to leave through the graveyard of death, we have to figure out the spatial laws here. Mu Linger opened her eyes and murmured, "The laws of 3 universes?" Yi Chunfeng creased his brows as his expression grew serious. Although the god-devouring brain was heaven-defying, it was still very difficult for it to understand the spatial laws of another universe. Moreover, the Supreme God and Supreme Emperor Celestials were closing in, so Yi Chunfeng didn't have time to study the spatial laws here. Leave the task of studying the spatial laws to me. I might be able to figure out the spatial laws here and find a way to leave. Mu Linger's eyes turned a grayish-brown as large amounts of energy of laws began to deduce the spatial laws of the cemetery of death. All right. Then I'll leave it to you, Linger. Thinking of Mu Linger's identity, Yi Chunfeng felt assured enough to leave the task of figuring out the spatial laws of the cemetery of death to her. He followed closely behind her, protecting her as they made their way through the eerie spaces of the cemetery of death to find a way out. As Yi Chunfeng and the others walked, a 3-story tall, pitch-black tomb with 2 stone lions sitting on it appeared before Yi Chunfeng and the others, giving off beams of profound light. "Big Bro Yi, this pagoda's interfering with my calculations of the spatial laws here. Can you guys break it apart?" Mu Linger's eyes cleared from her calculations as she pointed at the pagoda blocking their way. "No problem." Although Yi Chunfeng's group guessed that they'd run into trouble trying to break through the pagoda, they didn't hesitate to attack it at the same time. Boom, boom, boom. Under the combined attacks of Yi Chunfeng's trio, the 3-story tall black pagoda shattered. The tomb tower shattered, and a thick yin qi emerged from the bottom of the tower, causing the air to churn violently. Following that, 5 strange insects crawled out. They were completely black, half a meter long, with sharp blade-like limbs, a pair of strange antennae on their foreheads, and wings that trembled like blades. Spirit-eating insect. Looking at the 5 strange black bugs before him, Yi Chunfeng recognized them immediately. They were the God-Eater bugs that could devour virtual gods and had given Tai a headache back then. Senior Divine Void, Senior Eternal Ancient, these space-swallowing bugs are very scary. We need to kill them as soon as possible. Yi Chunfeng summoned the Divine Sword swallowing Heaven Divine Sword and the Myriad Origin Sword and urged loudly. "All right." Shun Daoshu, Shun Hengu, and Shun Daoshu nodded. They summoned their top-grade ancestral artifacts and attacked the ferocious god-devouring bugs. Slash! With a thought from Yi Chunfeng, the Divine Sword swallowing Heaven Divine Sword and the Myriad Origin Sword slashed through the air, slashing at one of the God-Eater bugs that was flapping its blade-like wings. Tsk tisk. After being attacked by the 2 Void God Swords, 2 deep sword gashes were left on the God-Eater bug's hard shell. The terrifying sword might directly cut the God-Eater bug that was approaching it to the ground. It's not dead. Although the God-Eater bug was cut down, Yi Chunfeng was shocked to find that the 2 Void God Swords were unable to kill this God-Eater bug. Just as he was feeling shocked, the 2 God-Eater bugs approached him at an extremely fast speed. Their sharp antennae slashed across Yi Chunfeng's body, instantly tearing through his defenses and tearing apart his powerful body. Large amounts of blood flowed uncontrollably. What terrifying offensive power! Even though Yi Chunfeng wasn't wearing his top-grade ancestral artifact Devil Dragon battle armor, his defenses were very difficult to penetrate even with a top-grade ancestral artifact. However, the 2 God-Eater bugs' antennae were able to pierce through his defenses and tear his body apart, giving him a first-hand experience of just how fearsome the 2 God-Eater bugs were. Yi Chunfeng was wounded by the 2 God-Eater bugs, and Shen Daoxiu and Shen Henggu were also in a lot of trouble. They were forced to open up their godly domains and use the power of their domains to kill the God-Eater bug. Invincible sword body, myriad swords returned to origin. After being wounded, Yi Chunfeng immediately donned his top-grade ancestral artifact Devil Dragon battle armor and activated his invincible sword body. In an instant, over 10,000 invincible divine swords were conjured to attack the 3 God-Eater bugs. However, the 3 God-Eater bugs were too fearsome, and they were constantly resisting the attacks of the invincible divine swords, forcing Yi Chunfeng into retreat. Big brother Yi, you can't keep retreating. If you do, you might be in danger. Mu Linger, who had mysterious Tao markings growing beneath her feet and was constantly deducing the laws of space, sent a message to Yi Chunfeng with a flicker of her expression. Tao of weapon control / Hearing Mu Linger's words, Yi Chunfeng didn't dare to hold back any longer. He immediately used his Tao of weapon control, activating the strongest attacks of his 2 Void Spirit Sword. Shining with invincible divine markings, they slashed at the 3 savage God-Eater bugs. Swish, swish, swish. Struck by the 2 Void Spirit Swords, the 3 God-Eater bugs' bodies were split open. They wailed in anguish before dying on the spot. Collect. As the God-Eater bugs died, 3 pitch-black, egg-sized demon cores appeared in the bloody mist. Sensing the divine power contained within the cores, Yi Chunfeng immediately collected them into his cosmos realm. Wielding his 2 void spirit weapons, he helped Shen Daoxiu and Shen Henggu attack the remaining 2 God-Eater bug. Big brother Yi, the God-Eater bug on the left has a weak point 4 inches from its abdomen. The one on the right has a weak point 1 inch from its abdomen. While Yi Chunfeng's group attacked with all their might, Mu Linger was constantly searching for the bug's weak points. Soon enough, she used the spatial laws to discover their weaknesses and told Yi Chunfeng's group. All right. After learning the fatal weakness of the 2 God-Eater bugs, Yi Chunfeng immediately opened up his sword domain and summoned his primal chaos Dharma idol to suppress 1 God-Eater bug by force. Then, he forcefully threw out his divine sword Tunshin, which pierced 4 inches into the abdomen of the God-Eater bug. Shen Daoxiu and Shen Henggu borrowed the power of their domains to suppress the God-Eater bugs and attack their weak point. Hiss hiss hiss. With their weak points attacked, the 2 God-Eater bugs shrieked in pain. Large amounts of black liquid spurted out as cracks appeared on their hard shells. Die! Yi Chunfeng's group attacked at the same time and killed the 2 God-Eater bugs in one fell swoop. They also obtained 2 demon cores filled with God energy. God energy, these 2 demon cores actually contain God energy. Looking at the 2 Yao cores that Yi Chunfeng had taken away, Shen Daoxiu and the other 2 could clearly feel that the Yao cores contained an enormous amount of divine power. Furthermore, this divine power was even purer than that of an ordinary 5-colored divine stone. Seniors, I'll give these 2 God-Eater bug cores to you. Yi Chunfeng wasn't stingy and gave the 2 incomparably precious cores to Shen Daoxiu and Shen Daoxiu. Many thanks. Shen Daoxiu and the other 2 didn't decline, accepting these 2 God-devouring insect demon cores that were extremely important to them. Seniors, go cultivate in the universe realm as well. Try to break through to mid-level void spirit realm as soon as possible. If there's any danger, I'll call for you. Yi Chunfeng looked at the excited Shen Daoxiu and Shen Daoxiu. Only by increasing their strength would they be able to escape from the Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven. All right. Chapter 2039. Linger, let's go. Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul force into the black tomb, only to discover it was empty. There were no treasures inside, so he immediately flew away with Mu Linger. Wait, big brother Yi. As they flew, Mu Linger called out to Yi Chunfeng. What's wrong, Linger? Yi Chunfeng asked softly as he looked at the gray-eyed Mu Linger trying to deduce the rules of space. We seem to be going the wrong way. Mu Linger floated in the air. Wait for me, I'll try to deduce the rules here. So speaking, Mu Linger's fair hands moved quickly to form complicated hand seals that melded into the air. She tried to deduce the rules of space to find the right path. Around the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, Mu Linger opened her eyes and pointed northwest. Big brother Yi, let's go that way. Mu Linger took Yi Chunfeng and slowly flew towards the northwest of Death Graveyard. It wasn't long before Mu Linger stopped again. She quickly calculated the direction of their flight path. A tomb pagoda, another tomb pagoda. After flying for about 6 hours, a second 3-floored tomb appeared, emitting a thick aura of death, blocking their path. So it's a tomb pagoda. It's the power of this tomb pagoda that's interfering with my deduction of the rules here. Mu Linger creased her brows at the sight. If that's the case, then I'll break this tomb pagoda. Although Phoenix God, Shun Daoxiu, and the others were all cultivating in the universe realm and Yi Chunfeng's battle prowess was greatly reduced, he still didn't hesitate to control the divine void sword to attack the 3-floored tomb pagoda, shattering it with a single strike. Hiss hiss hiss. The tomb tower shattered, and a terrifying power of death spread out. 5 god-eater bugs that were more than half a meter long crawled out of the tomb, waving their antennae. They let out ferocious screeches at Yi Chunfeng and Yi Qintang. Evil slaughter 1,000 flows, God's spirit pagoda, protect Linger. Yi Chunfeng quickly had Mu Linger retreat 1,000 meters before summoning his 2 top-grade ancestral weapons to protect her. With Divine Sword Devourer in hand, he charged at the 5 vicious god-devouring bugs alone and began to fight them. After donning his demonic dragon battle armor, Yi Chunfeng's defensive prowess was significantly enhanced, but the attacks of the 5 god-engulfing beetles were simply too powerful. Their tentacles, which were comparable in power to pseudo-void divine tools, were still able to create a lot of trouble for Yi Chunfeng, leaving a series of deep gashes on his demonic dragon battle armor. Chaos Dharma form fuse. Unable to fend off the attacks of the 5 spirit-eating bugs, Yi Chunfeng triggered his thoughts and merged with the chaotic Dharma form. He raised his strength to the peak of middle-level virtual god and performed his mirror image doppelganger. In an instant, 3 mirror image doppelgangers appeared and attacked together with him. But in the blink of an eye, the 3 mirror avatars were torn apart by the antennae of the spirit-eating insect. 2 primitive Tao embryos. After his mirror image doppelgangers were destroyed, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned his 2 primitive Tao embryos, both of which were half-step void god stage, to help him fend off his enemies. Although he had the assistance of his 2 primitive Tao embryos, Yi Chunfeng was still in a perilous situation. His attacks were completely suppressed by the 5 god-engulfing beetles. Big brother Yi, the god-engulfing beetle on your left has a weak spot 6 inches from its abdomen. Mu Linger's voice entered Yi Chunfeng's ears as he was engaged in a fierce battle with the 5 god-engulfing beetles with his 2 primitive Tao embryos. Divine Sword Devourer, go! Yi Chunfeng's pupils contracted as he locked onto the weak spot of the god-engulfing beetle on his left. His arm erupted with close to 5 trillion kilograms of force as he shot out Divine Sword Devourer, piercing through its weak spot. After that, Yi Chunfeng unleashed his myriad deity tribulation to destroy the god-engulfing beetle's physical body and kill it. After killing 1 god-engulfing beetle, Yi Chunfeng's pressure was greatly reduced. Wielding his 2 void god swords, he continued to tangle with the remaining 4. Very soon, Mu Linger discovered another god-engulfing beetle's weak spot and told Yi Chunfeng about it, allowing him to kill the second god-engulfing beetle in one fell swoop. About 2 hours later, the heavily injured Yi Chunfeng managed to kill the 5 god-engulfing beetles with Mu Linger's help and obtained 5 incomparably precious god-engulfing beast cores. However, the 2 primitive Tao embryos had been attacked by the god-engulfing beetles and were covered in wounds, greatly affecting their battle prowess. These god-engulfing beetles are too terrifying. If it wasn't for Linger's help, it would have been very difficult to kill them, Yi Chunfeng said with lingering fear as he put away the 5 god-engulfing beast cores. This tomb is empty too. When the god-devouring brain entered the tomb, Yi Chunfeng discovered that it was still empty. There were no treasures or fortuitous encounters. Big Brother Yi, let's go south. Without the interference of the towers, Mu Linger quickly deduced a new direction and led Yi Chunfeng through the death graveyard. Time passed day by day. Yi Chunfeng followed Mu Linger through the death graveyard for 3 days. They destroyed 5 towers and killed 18 terrifying god-engulfing beetles. At the bottom of a 5-floored tower, they discovered a pseudo-void spirit weapon, the half-moon divine saber, and a fist-sized, extremely pure 5-colored divine stone. But as time passed, Mu Linger's expression grew more and more solemn. Her movements grew slower and slower until she finally realized she was lost. What's wrong, Linger? Seeing Mu Linger suddenly stop flying with a grave expression, Yi Chunfeng flew to her side and asked softly, "What's the matter?" "There's a problem with the path I deduced. We should be lost." Mu Linger's eyes returned to normal as she surveyed their surroundings. "Lost?" Yi Chunfeng creased his brows. "If I'm not wrong, if we keep going forward, we'll reach the first tower we destroyed." Mu Linger nodded. "We've been walking for so long, so it's very possible that we've taken a huge detour." As Mu Linger had predicted, they soon discovered the first tomb pagoda they'd broken down. Just where did we go wrong? Once she was certain that she was really lost, Mu Linger knitted her brows and sat cross-legged to deduce the spatial laws while trying to recall. While she was doing so, Yi Chunfeng sat cross-legged by her side to control the god-engulfing brain. While Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger were trying to deduce the spatial laws of Death Graveyard to find a way out, Supreme God Heaven's group had passed through the Black Forest and arrived outside the Death Graveyard. The God Mirror of Death is broken. Looks like they've already entered the Death Graveyard. Both the Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven had entered the Great Desolate Tomb in the immemorial era. They were familiar with the terrain of this place. When they saw the shattered divine mirror of death, they immediately guessed that Yi Chunfeng's group had entered the Death Graveyard, which contained different spatial laws. When we catch up to them, this god will turn their bones to dust. The demon god who'd suffered at the hands of the Phoenix god and heretic god snorted. "Let's go, we're entering the Death Graveyard." Chapter 2040. It should be right this time. Mu Linger quickly deduced for 2 hours before her ashen eyes returned to normal. She brought Yi Chunfeng with her as they flew towards the southwest wind. As they flew, a series of strange voices rang out and entered their ears. After passing through the slowly drifting black fog, Yi Chunfeng and Li Wuyo discovered a milky white spiritual pond in front of them. In the middle of the spiritual pond, there was a half-meter-tall spiritual plant with milky white leaves drooping down. There were 3 white fruits on the spiritual plant. "What kind of fruit is this?" Smelling the fragrant aroma and looking at the winding patterns on the surface of the 3 spirit fruits, Yi Chunfeng immediately felt that these 3 white fruits were very valuable. "Big Brother Yi, don't get close to the 3 spirit fruits for now." Mu Linger suddenly grabbed Yi Chunfeng's hand and shook her head. "These 3 spirit fruits and the plant don't seem real. If you get close, you'll be in danger." "Not real?" Yi Chunfeng creased his brows as he controlled the god-devouring brain to quickly deduce. After half a stick of incense's worth of time, he began to feel suspicious as well. Formidable, this spirit plant contains illusory rules that exceed the god-devouring brain's senses. Yi Chunfeng never expected the spirit plants in the Death Graveyard to be so strange and powerful that they could hide from the god-devouring brain. Divine Art Mirror Image. Although Yi Chunfeng discovered that the spirit plant in front of him had disguised its form and might possess extremely strong offensive capabilities, Yi Chunfeng still decided to forcefully pluck it away. With a thought, 3 mirror image clones appeared and approached the spirit plant growing above the spirit pool. Screech, screech, screech. As the 3 mirror images approached, an ear-piercing ghost cry suddenly rang out from this seemingly harmless spirit plant. The 3 milky white spirit fruits suddenly turned into 3 ferocious ghost heads, opened their bloody mouths and bit at the 3 mirror images. The 3 spirit fruits' attack was too sudden and fast. In the blink of an eye, they bit into the 3 mirror images that were comparable to half-step void spirit cultivators and crushed them to pieces. The way of equipment manipulation. The instant the 3 mirror images shattered, Yi Chunfeng instantly used the Tao of weapon control, activating the 2 Void God Sword divine marks floating above his head. The 2 Void God Swords were unrivaled as they slashed towards the strange spiritual plant. Ka ka ka! Under the most powerful attack of the 2 divine Void Swords, the incomparably tough space cracked open. The terrifying sword power viciously chopped down on this spirit plant, shattering it. Screech, screech, screech. The spirit plant shattered and a series of bone-chilling cries of ghosts rang out. A large number of ferocious ghosts drilled out of the shattered spirit plant and attacked Yi Chunfeng and his companion. God-devouring brain, devour! At the critical moment, Yi Chunfeng shielded Mu Linger behind him and summoned the powerful God-eater brain. He had it turn into a spatial black hole that swallowed up the terrifying ghosts one by one. Soon, the ghost that came out of the spirit plant was devoured by the God-eater brain, and the chaotic space returned to normal. A dark green bead floated in the spot where the spirit plant had been. What dense amounts of God energy! Sensing that the dark green bead contained more God energy than the God-eater demon core, Yi Chunfeng immediately used multiple seals to seal it up and store it in the cosmos realm. After killing the strange spirit plant, Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger continued to fly deeper into the graveyard of death. Although they didn't turn back this time, their lives were still in danger. Big Brother Yi, did you feel it? The entire space is shaking again. Mu Linger suddenly stopped flying and looked towards the space they were heading towards, a little uneasy. I felt it. Yi Chunfeng nodded, revealing a serious expression. Just as the 2 of them were carefully advancing, they suddenly discovered that the space before them had turned pitch black. The entire space was shaking more and more as a storm of death engulfed the space like a roaring wave. Hurry and hide in the cosmos realm. Seeing the approaching storm of death, Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger didn't dare to hide blindly. If they ran, they might get lost in the graveyard of death, so all they could do was defend with all their might. No, I'm not going to the cosmos realm. I want to stay here, Mu Linger said firmly. Mu Linger shook her head and said firmly, the appearance of this death tempest is very likely to tear apart the rules of space and give us a chance to leave. Fine, then I'll protect you. So speaking, Yi Chunfeng summoned the last outer realm divine stone and stabbed it into the ground. Then he forcibly awakened the Phoenix God, Wentian God, Shen Daoxiu, and Shen Yogu from their cultivation so they could come out and help. Everyone, help me resist this storm of death. Yi Chunfeng took out 5 God-eater insect cores and gave them to the Phoenix God and the others. He took one himself and placed it behind the outer realm divine stone, protecting Mu Linger in the middle of the group. Rumble, rumble! An unimaginable force slammed into the extraterritorial divine stone. This force was so great that Yi Chunfeng and the others felt it was quite strenuous. They continuously increased their strength to withstand the trembling extraterritorial divine stone. What kind of wind is this? How can it be so terrifying? Although the outer realm divine stone was huge, many of the black winds still blew in and easily tore through the group's defenses. Their bodies were torn apart and dripping with blood. While everyone was using the outer realm divine stones to do their best to fend off the black winds of death, Mu Linger cleared away all distracting thoughts and formed complicated hand seals that melded into the chaotic space around her. She sensed the changes in the space around her and probed its rules. 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, Yi Chunfeng's group of 5 grit their teeth and relied on their superhuman willpower to resist the onslaught of the outer realm divine stone and the black winds of death. Although Yi Chunfeng and the other 4 were powerful, They had spent a lot of energy resisting the black winds of death for more than 8 hours. Their bodies were constantly being torn apart by the terrifying black winds of death. Late Void Spirit Realm Breakthrough. Suddenly, the Phoenix God's body erupted with scorching divine flames that illuminated the pitch-black space and incinerated the black winds of death. The Phoenix God had used up a lot of energy to stimulate its potential. At the very last moment, it refined the divine Wudong Wood Heart, Phoenix Perch Flower, and the God-devouring demon pill that contained pure divine energy. It transformed its divine energy and broke through the bottleneck to late Void Spirit Realm. With the Phoenix God's breakthrough, the pressure on Yi Qinfeng's group lessened. But the black winds of death seemed endless as they continued to wreak havoc in the space. After 2 days and 2 nights, the winds of death finally began to slow down and disappear. Huff, huff, we finally made it through. Yi Qinfeng exhaled as the winds of death vanished. He put away the damaged outer realm divine stone and spoke with lingering fear. Qingfeng, we've sensed an opportunity to break through. Let's go back to the cosmos realm and continue cultivating. Although everyone had used up a lot of energy, the heretic god, Void Spirit Realm, and Shen Yengu had completely refined the god-devouring demon pill and other energies. Their divine energy was constantly evolving and on the verge of a breakthrough. All right. Yi Qinfeng nodded and sent the trio back to the cosmos realm, where they took a god-devouring demon pill. Together with the Phoenix God, who was consolidating its cultivation, they stood on either side of Mu Linger, who was rapidly deducing the spatial laws. Suddenly, Yi Qinfeng and the Phoenix God opened their eyes at the same time to look towards the depths of the graveyard of death. Chapter 2041. Linger, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven have appeared. We have to leave this place as soon as possible, or else we'll be in trouble. Although the Phoenix God had broken through to the late Void Spirit Realm, there was still an insurmountable gap between her and the Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven. Moreover, the two of them had appeared together. But Mu Linger was currently in a mystical trance. No matter how Yi Qinfeng called out to her, he couldn't wake her up. I've finally found you. A low voice called out from the distance. Although the voice wasn't loud, it made Yi Qinfeng's soul tremble. In the next instant, 2 imposing figures appeared before Yi Qinfeng and the Phoenix God. Seeing Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven standing in the air in silence, Yi Qinfeng and the Phoenix God suddenly felt like they couldn't breathe. Every strand of aura from their bodies seemed capable of crushing mountains. Boundless, unparalleled auras filled the air and made Yi Qinfeng and the Phoenix God feel like they were worshipping them. Phoenix, this God will give you one more chance. If you're willing to submit to this God can make the decision to spare your life. Supreme God Heaven, the so-called number 1 expert of the Void God realm, looked at the Phoenix God with a dignified gaze as he spoke. Humph, even if this God dies, I won't submit to you 2 wolves. The Phoenix God gave a cold snort and said stubbornly. Wolf. Phoenix, haven't you seen through it yet? Supreme God Heaven shook his head. There's no good or bad in this world. Everything we do is for the sake of one goal, and that's to become gods. As long as this God becomes the true ruler, who cares about the process? Supreme Emperor Heaven, if Supreme God Heaven becomes the last God, will you be satisfied? Yi Qinfeng asked intentionally to confirm his suspicions. Human brat, don't try to test us. Supreme Emperor Heaven, dressed in dark golden imperial robes, spoke up. Who becomes a god in the end isn't something a dead man like you should worry about. Do you really think you can kill me for sure? Although Yi Qinfeng knew that his chances of escaping from the Supreme Celestial and Supreme Celestial skies were slim, he still decided to take the risk. Ha ha ha, in front of this god, you think you still have a chance of surviving? Supreme Emperor Heaven laughed and said, however, I still have to thank you for giving us the primal chaos divine wood. After saying that, boundless divine power gushed out from Supreme Huangtian's body and turned into a dark golden hand. This palm sealed the entire space and suppressed Yi Chunfeng. No one can hurt Big Brother Yi. Just as Yi Chunfeng was about to do everything in his power to escape, Mu Linger suddenly awoke from her strange trance. Following that, her hands rapidly moved as she communicated with the mysterious laws of the Cemetery of Death, enveloping Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God. Boom! As the dark golden palm descended, the entire space trembled violently. Several hundred meters of the ground was crushed by the Supreme Emperor Heaven's palm. They're gone. The Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven's expressions turned increasingly unsightly when they sensed Yi Chunfeng and the other two mysteriously vanishing the instant the dark golden palm descended. They couldn't believe that Yi Chunfeng's trio had the skills to escape right under their noses. It looks like we've underestimated them. If I'm not wrong, that white-robed girl should have grasped a portion of this cemetery's laws. Supreme Celestial's eyes were as deep as the ocean as he deduced the changes in his surroundings. But the laws of the Cemetery of Death were too strange. Even with their strength, they didn't dare to chase after Yi Chunfeng's trio. They could only let them escape. Huff, huff, that was close. Ling it's all thanks to you guys. If not for you, we really would have been in danger. After escaping with his life, Yi Chunfeng exhaled in relief. He never expected the Supreme Celestial and Supreme Emperor Celestials to be so terrifyingly strong. In front of the two of them, he couldn't resist at all. Those two really are frightening, but I've already grasped the laws of this Cemetery of Death. Let's get out of here as soon as possible. Mu Linger was a little fearful of the Supreme Emperor Celestial duo as well. She kept sensing the changes in the laws as she led Yi Chunfeng's group towards the end of the Cemetery of Death. Around a day later, Mu Linger used the spatial laws to bring Yi Chunfeng's group to the end of the Cemetery of Death. They discovered an enormous mausoleum at the exit. Chunfeng, should we enter the mausoleum to take a look? The Phoenix God glanced at the huge mausoleum in front of him and asked for Yi Chunfeng's opinion. Plenty of people should have come to this Cemetery of Death before. Let's not waste any more time. Yi Chunfeng shook his head. Big Bro Chunfeng, I brought you guys to this exit before. So no one has entered this mausoleum before. Mu Linger suddenly shouted at Yi Chunfeng. What, does this Cemetery of Death have plenty of exits? Yi Chunfeng asked in surprise. As far as I can tell, there should be 16 exits. Mu Linger nodded. In other words, the chances of Supreme God Celestial and Supreme Emperor Celestial finding us are slim to none. Yi Chunfeng never expected the Cemetery of Death to have so many exits. His heart rejoiced. The exit I brought you guys to is the most secluded one. I don't think those two will find us. Mu Linger nodded. Since that's the case, let's enter the mausoleum and see what treasures there are inside. Without the threat of Supreme God Celestial and Supreme Emperor Celestial, Yi Chunfeng decided to take the risk and enter the mausoleum to search for the fortune inside. Break for this god. The Phoenix God channeled his Phoenix celestial fire into his right fist and broke through the restrictions at the mausoleum's entrance. They walked into the eerie mausoleum filled with the thick aura of death. Whose mausoleum is this? Looking at the walls on both sides of the mausoleum, Yi Chunfeng discovered that they were carved with many ancient markings. These markings were incomparably profound and contained the concept of the Great Tao. Soon enough, Yi Chunfeng's trio reached the deepest parts of the mausoleum, where they were blocked by a giant stone door. Open! Yi Chunfeng's arms exploded with nearly 5 trillion jin of strength as he pushed open the heavy stone door and walked into an ancient Yin hall. When Yi Chunfeng held the moonlight stone in his hand and illuminated the entire Yin temple, he discovered that in the center of the Yin temple that was supported by coiling dragon pillars, there was an incomparably huge, 3-zhang-tall stone coffin. And around the stone coffin were many thousand-legged centipedes. However, these centipedes were different from the outside world. Their bodies flowed with divine energy and their attacks were frightening enough to threaten even the most void spirit realm experts. All of you, stand back. Leave these centipedes to me. The Phoenix God instructed as the scorching phoenix celestial fire emerged from her body. She charged at the ferocious centipedes and engaged them in an intense battle. Although the Phoenix God was affected by the space rules of the Chaos Tomb and couldn't unleash her full combat strength, she had broken through to the later stages of the Void Spirit Realm, and her combat strength had increased by nearly 100-fold. Under her ferocious attacks, the ferocious centipedes were torn apart and melted, leaving behind demonic pills that contained divine energy. However, the divine energy in these demonic pills was far from the God-devourer demonic pills. Yi Chunfeng didn't want them and allowed the Phoenix God to devour them all. In about half an hour, the Phoenix God killed more than 30 ferocious centipedes in the Yin Hall and devoured their demonic pills. Chapter 2042. Awoo! The lid of the coffin opened and savage roars came from within. Large amounts of black light drilled out of the coffin and dyed the entire space black. In the next moment, a man over 10 feet tall, dressed in black armor, holding an ancient bronze sword, and with a black gold chain wrapped around his arm, sat up from the stone coffin. He stared at Yi Chunfeng and the others with a pair of eyes that emitted black light. Zombie King. Bah! When Yi Chunfeng saw the man radiating the aura of death, he immediately recognized him as the Zombie King Ba. However, the Ba in front of Yi Chunfeng was much stronger than the Ba that Yi Chunfeng had seen before. This Ba might have been refined from the corpse of a faux god with horrifying strength. Leave it to me. I'll deal with him. Seeing Ba's overwhelming aura of death, the Phoenix God immediately transformed into her strongest combat form. Burning with Phoenix divine fire, she launched a ferocious attack at him. Awoo! As the Phoenix God attacked, Ba let out a furious roar. He swung his ancient bronze sword, stirring up rule power as he slashed at the Phoenix God, tearing apart the Phoenix divine flames. Demonic Emperor Divine Bell. The Phoenix God immediately spat out the Demon Emperor's divine bell to meet the oncoming ancient bronze sword. Buzz! As the two divine weapons clashed, the sound of space shattering rang out in the Yin Temple. Large amounts of energy rippled in the air, forming dense ripples. What a tough spatial wall! How terrifying was the destructive power of the two divine weapons! However, they were unable to tear apart the space of the underworld palace. This made Yi Chunfeng shocked at the level of the desolate tomb's space. Blood! I want to drink blood! Ba ignored the dense spatial ripples and let out a vicious cry. He continued to attack the Phoenix God with his ancient bronze sword, wanting to quickly kill her and drink her blood. Divine Phoenix Shadow. As Ba's murderous aura surged, the Phoenix God immediately manifested numerous divine phantoms that descended from the sky and launched a series of ferocious attacks at Ba. Ka, ka, ka. Facing the attacks of the divine Phoenix phantoms, Ba suddenly took a step forward, sending out ripples of energy to meet them, tearing apart the divine Phoenix phantoms descending from the sky and forcing the divine Phoenix phantoms to retreat. Ling, can you see through this, Ba? Yi Chunfeng never expected the Ba to be so valiant as to break through the Phoenix God's attacks one after another. This Ba came from another cosmos. When he was alive, his strength was on par with the Phoenix Gods, comparable to your universe Void God late-stage powerhouses. Since he was sealed here, he's long familiarized himself with the rules here. He can borrow the power of the rules to attack, which is why the Phoenix God is restrained in every way. Mu Linger, whose eyes had turned ashen white, murmured. Then, Ling, are you able to discover his weakness? Yi Chunfeng frowned and continued to ask. Not yet, but he definitely has a weak point. Mu Linger shook her head. As she spoke, the Phoenix God was struck by Ba's powerful spatial rule power. She was sent flying and slammed into a stone pillar. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Phoenix God, I'll help you. Yi Chunfeng saw that the Phoenix God was injured and immediately summoned his two great Void God swords. He stepped forward and attacked the Ba wrapped in death chi. Myriad Deity Tribulation. Yi Chunfeng instantly combined his 3 trump cards and raised his strength to the peak of mid-level Void God. With the 2 great Void God swords in hand, he unleashed an unparalleled attack that could destroy gods as he attacked Ba. Just as the Myriad Deity Tribulation was about to hit Ba, the space in front of him suddenly began to ripple. The incomparably sturdy spatial walls weakened the Myriad Deity Tribulation's attack until they finally broke apart. Demon Emperor Divine Bell Destroy. The Phoenix God suppressed her injuries and spat out multiple mouthfuls of essence blood into the bell, activating its attack power. Like a lofty mountain, it slammed into Ba. But Ba was too terrifying with his ability to control spatial rule power. Borrowing the power of the rules, he blocked the Demon Emperor Divine Bell and sent it flying with a single slash. Despite their repeated attacks, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God didn't give up and kept attacking together. But no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't stop Ba's attacks. Instead, they were injured by Ba's spatial rule power. Linger, you haven't found Ba's weakness yet, right? As his injuries continued to worsen, Yi Chunfeng looked at the ashen-eyed Mu Linger and transmitted his question. Not yet. Mu Linger shook her head. This Ba's strength is too terrifying. It's not easy to find his weakness. Big Bro Yi, can you guys do your best to break through his defenses? That way, it'll be easier for me to find him. Alright. Yi Chunfeng nodded and quickly communicated with the Phoenix God via voice transmission. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God simultaneously unleashed a powerful domain power that enveloped Ba, using the domain power to forcefully suppress his body. While Ba's terrifying battle strength tore through the 2 domains with his bronze sword, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God closed in on him and launched fatal attacks. Nirvana Energy. The Phoenix God burned his blood essence to activate his strongest Nirvana energy to attack Ba. Meanwhile, Yi Chunfeng used his 3 supreme combat arts to attack Ba at the same time. Boom boom. Although Ba had mobilized the power of space to defend himself, the power of this attack was too terrifying. Layers upon layers of space were penetrated by the power of nirvanic rebirth and the 3 supreme divine abilities. The terrifying attack ruthlessly slammed into Ba's body, shattering his defense and sending him flying. After successfully injuring Ba, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God pressed on with their attacks, unleashing a barrage of terrifying attacks to give Ba a chance for Mu Linger to find his fatal weakness. Under Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God's relentless attacks, Ba's defenses were shattered again and again. His battle armor was covered in cracks as well. Still, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God were injured by Ba's ferocious counterattacks as well, their injuries worsening. I've found it. The Ba's weak point is its lower abdomen. If we can pierce through it, we can destroy all of the death energy in its body. Mu Linger had finally discovered the Ba's weak point and transmitted to Yi Chunfeng and Long Fei. Alright. Now that he knew Ba's weakness, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate to summon the evil-shattering Thousand Streams and Divine Spirit Pagoda to suppress Ba and restrict his movements. At this moment, the Divine Phoenix God also merged with the Demon Emperor's Divine Bell, bringing with it a boundless suppressive force as it smashed towards Ba. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Under the combined might of the Phoenix God and the 2 supreme weapons, Ba's movements were greatly affected. Seizing this rare opportunity, Yi Chunfeng executed the way of controlling equipment. He activated the strongest attack of the 2 foe god swords and threw them with all his might, piercing towards the Ba's abdomen. Swish, swish. Struck by the 2 void spirit swords, Ba's stomach was pierced through. As Mu Linger said, all of the death energy in its body crumbled away. Demon Emperor's Divine Bell Destroy. Chapter 2043. What's this? After killing the late-stage Nihility god Ba, A dark golden key with ancient runes carved on it appeared from his shattered body. This should be the key to opening the space within the primitive desolate tomb. Mu Linger stepped lightly into the air as she slowly walked over. She took the key from Yi Chunfeng's hands and examined it carefully. In other words, with this key, we can enter the space within the primitive desolate tomb. Yi Chunfeng exclaimed in delight. It's hard to say. Mu Linger shook her head. But if we want to take the initiative, we might need to find a few more keys. If each key only allows one person in, it'll be troublesome. Find a few more keys. Yi Chunfeng knitted his brows. Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven were in the cemetery of death, and could run into them at any time. It was too risky to search for the keys now. But Yi Chunfeng was determined to get his hands on the primitive desolate tomb's legacy. After some hesitation, Yi Chunfeng summoned Shen Daoxiu and gave him a teleportation talisman so he could wait in the tomb. If Yi Chunfeng's group was unlucky enough to run into Supreme Emperor Heaven or Supreme God Heaven, they could use Tai's teleportation talisman to escape without a trace. Linger, take us to the second tomb. After leaving the teleportation talisman with Shen Daoxiu, Yi Chunfeng put away the bronze sword and black gold chains that were as hard as void spirit weapons. Then he followed Yi Chunfeng out of the tomb and towards the next one. The graveyard of death was enormous. Even though Mu Linger had grasped the spatial laws of the graveyard and guided them through a safe path, it still took Yi Chunfeng's group 5 days to reach the other exit of the mausoleum and find a second, giant tomb. While searching for the tomb, the heretic god finally took the final step and broke through to the late stage of the void spirit realm. His battle strength increased by nearly 100 times. The fiend god's breakthrough had greatly increased the strength of Yi Chunfeng and the others, but they still couldn't eliminate the threat of the Supreme Divine Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven. If they encountered the two of them, Yi Chunfeng and the others would face a life and death crisis. Come, let's go in. When Yi Chunfeng discovered that the entrance to the mausoleum was untouched, he immediately broke through the restrictions and entered with the Phoenix God, Mu Linger, and the heretic god. The rule power in this mausoleum is so familiar. Inside the mausoleum, Mu Linger's eyes lit up. These seem to be the rules of our universe. Perhaps the person buried in this tomb is a big shot from our universe. Come, let's go in and take a look. If the big shot buried here really came from my universe, maybe I can easily find the fatal part of him. Weakness. So speaking, Yi Chunfeng's group quickened their steps to follow behind Mu Linger as they followed a stone corridor into the depths of the mausoleum. As they ventured deeper into the mausoleum, Yi Chunfeng and the others were attacked by many strange insects that contained divine power. However, with the Phoenix God and the evil god's breakthrough, these strange insects were no longer a threat to them and were easily killed. About 2 hours later, Yi Chunfeng's group reached the deepest parts of the mausoleum and saw 2 stone doors that were dozens of zhang tall. Their surfaces were carved with ancient Tao markings and totems. That's right, the Tao markings on these doors come from our universe. Mu Linger lightly stepped forward and stroked the markings. She exclaimed in pleasant surprise. Break. Mu Linger quickly formed a series of complicated hand seals that sent rays of profound light into the doors, easily breaking open their seals. Next, Yi Chunfeng's arms exploded with 100 million caddies of strength to push open the heavy doors of the Yin Hall and enter the depths of the mausoleum filled with dense Yin Qi. In the center of the mausoleum was a sarcophagus carved with fiend totems. These diagrams, could it be that the one sealed inside the sarcophagus is a fiend? Seeing the fiend totems carved into the stone pillars and the surface of the sarcophagus, Mu Linger could guess who was sealed inside. Fiend. Linger, how strong is this fiend? Yi Chunfeng had heard of the famous fiend before, but he'd never seen one before, so he didn't know much about them. The fiend clan is rare even in our universe. Every single one of them is a valiant warrior who excels in battle. Their battle prowess far surpasses that of our elf clan. Moreover, the Fiend clan's physical bodies are extremely strong, comparable to the strongest gods and devils of your world. Normal Void God weapons can't even destroy them. Even Void God weapons can't destroy them. Then does the Fiend race have any weaknesses? Yi Chunfeng glared as he asked. I don't know. I don't know much about the Fiend race either. As far as I know, the only way to kill one is to shatter their physical body. Mu Linger shook her head. No matter what, we have to get the key to the Fiend Guard. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and slowly walked to the side of the stone coffin. Wielding the divine sword Devourer, he forcefully broke the seal on the stone coffin. Crack, crack, crack. As the seal broke, a terrifying, evil energy emanated from the sarcophagus, causing cracks to appear on its sturdy surface. Boom! The sarcophagus shattered to reveal a Tuzhong tall fiend with crimson skin and steel-like muscles. It had a pair of fiend horns on its head and a pair of blood-red wings on its back. Its form resembled the fiend gods as it appeared before Yi Chunfeng's group. A late void god fiend. Although fiends didn't belong to this universe, Yi Chunfeng could still sense from its aura that its strength was equivalent to late void god. It was even stronger than the Phoenix God and the Fiend God that had just broken through. But unlike the Ba that Yi Chunfeng's group had killed, Yi Chunfeng could sense a powerful life force within the Fiend's body. In other words, this Fiend was alive and much harder to deal with than the Ba. Elf, you have the blood of the elf race flowing through your veins. The Fiend glared at Mu Linger with its blood-red eyes as it spoke savagely. That's right. Mu Linger nodded. I want to drink your blood. Offer it to me. The elves and fiends were mortal enemies. After confirming that Mu Linger had elf blood flowing through her veins, the fiend opened its gaping maw and flapped its blood-red wings to attack her. 100 evil weapons, slash. As the fiend turned into a streak of blood-red light, the fiend god immediately stepped in front of Mu Linger. Wielding the 100 evil weapons, it slashed at the fiend to force it back. Fiend Trident. Suddenly, a blood-red trident covered in ancient patterns flew out of the fiend's mouth. Under its control, it grew larger and larger before flying towards the 100 evil weapons. Boom! The two weapons collided with a deafening sound that made Mu Linger's soul tremble in discomfort. Meanwhile, the fiend god was forced back again and again by the fiend's attack. Linger, hurry and hide far away. Leave this fiend to us. Yi Chunfeng never expected the fiend to be so formidable. He immediately summoned the Divine Spirit Pagoda and Evil Slaughter Thousand Streams to protect Mu Linger. She hid as far away from the Een Hall as possible so she wouldn't be hurt by the shockwaves. Once Mu Linger was far away, the Phoenix God transformed into its strongest battle form and attacked the fiend with the Demon Emperor's divine bell. Boom! While the fiend and fiend god were fighting, the Phoenix God used the bell to slam into the fiend's scarlet body. But the fiend's body only trembled under the attack. It wasn't hurt at all, allowing Yi Chunfeng's group to sense the terror of the fiend's body. Primordial Bloodline Ignition, God Spirit Heart, Primal Chaos Dharma Idol Fusion. After witnessing the fiend's terror, Yi Chunfeng immediately combined his 3 trump cards and raised his strength to the peak of mid-level Void Spirit Realm. Wielding his 2 Void Spirit Swords, he slashed at the fiend. Faced with Yi Chunfeng's group's attacks, the fiend didn't slow down in the slightest. Instead, it fought fiercely and continuously destroyed their attack. Just as Yi Chunfeng's group was about to unleash all their attacks, the fiend's soul sea suddenly shone with rays of soul light. A scarlet sword soul flew out of his sea of soul and intertwined with a boundless sword on to slash at Yi Chunfeng's group. A scarlet sword soul. Chapter 2044. Phoenix God, Demon God, I'll leave the 3 of you to deal with the Crimson Sword Soul. The Crimson Sword Soul was a huge threat. Yi Chunfeng urged and activated his sword domain, forcefully blocking the Crimson Sword Soul's attacks. Wielding the 2 Void God Swords, he attacked the Crimson Sword Soul with all his might. As Yi Chunfeng attacked, the highly intelligent Crimson Sword Soul immediately interweaved with thousands of sword shadows. Like a waterfall falling from the heavens, the Crimson Sword Soul shattered the sword domain and clashed fiercely with Yi Chunfeng. So strong, this Crimson Sword Soul is comparable to a Void God artifact. Yi Chunfeng did not expect the demon to cultivate his sword soul to such an extent. Its power was almost at the level of the divine sword swallowing the heavens. However, this also strengthened his resolve to suppress the Scarlet Sword Soul and refine it into an ancestral sword soul. 2 primitive Tao embryos come out. The primitive Tao embryos were formed from divine stones, thus they were not affected by the desolate tomb's rules. The moment they appeared, they immediately attacked the Crimson Sword Soul with all their might. Mirror Image Doppelganger. When the 2 primitive Tao embryos attacked, Yi Chunfeng summoned 3 mirror image doppelgangers to attack the Crimson Sword Soul. In an instant, the Crimson Sword Soul's attacks were suppressed. Waves after waves of destructive attacks landed on the Crimson Sword Soul, aggravating its injuries. Yi Chunfeng continued to inflict heavy damage on the Crimson Sword Soul. Phoenix God and Demon God fought, but they could not suppress the demon. Facing the demon with an invincible physique and defense, the Phoenix God and Demon God unleashed all of their attacks, but they could not injure the demon's body at all. Even the Phoenix God fire that could incinerate everything could not harm the demon's body. Is this the strongest physique in the other universe? Isn't this too terrifying? The more the Phoenix God and Demon God fought, the more shocked they became. They felt that the demon's physique was comparable to a Void God artifact, and it was almost impossible to shatter it. Demon Domain. Enduring the Phoenix God and Demon God's ferocious attacks, the demon suddenly opened up a powerful demon domain, trapping the Phoenix God and Demon God inside. The moment the demon was trapped, the Phoenix God and Demon God simultaneously opened up a powerful domain, wanting to tear the demon's domain apart. However, the power of the demonic domain was beyond their imagination. Their domains were unable to tear the demonic domain apart. While the Phoenix God and Evil God were trying their best to break through the devil's domain, the devil suddenly appeared with the devil's trident in his hand. It pierced through layers of space and stabbed at the Phoenix God. Although the Phoenix God had broken through to the late stage of the Nihility God realm, the Devil's Trident was comparable to a Nihility God artifact. The power of the Trident was beyond what the Phoenix God realm could withstand. It was enough to destroy her body. Be careful. At the critical moment, the Evil God stood in front of the Phoenix God and used his immortal body to block the attack of the Devil's Trident. Boom! The Evil God's strong body immediately exploded after receiving the destructive blow from the Devil's Trident. However, the instant the Evil God's body exploded, he fused a large amount of his lifeblood into the 100 evil weapons, activating the divine runes in the weapons and slashing apart the evil domain, forcing the ferocious evil devils to retreat. Immortal Bloodline Repair. When the 100 evil soldiers defeated the demons, the Evil God activated his immortal bloodline and quickly repaired his body. He summoned the 100 evil soldiers back and continued to attack the demons fiercely. Sword Domain Trap. When Yi Chunfeng saw that the Evil God and Phoenix God were unable to suppress the demons, he increased the power of his sword domain to suppress the Crimson Sword Soul. He wanted to end the battle quickly and help the Phoenix God and Phoenix God fend off the demons. Crimson Sword Soul Return. The demons sensed that the Crimson Sword Soul's injuries were worsening under Yi Chunfeng's and primitive Tao embryo's ferocious attacks. They wanted to summon the Crimson Sword Soul back. Sensing the demon's summons, the Crimson Sword Soul wanted to fly back. Can you fly back? Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank. The 9 nether emerged from his body and swallowed the Crimson Sword Soul under his control. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng brought the 2 primitive Tao embryos into the 9 nether and used the 9 nether's energy to attack the Crimson Sword Soul. The 9 nether was a top-grade ancestral artifact, and the Crimson Sword Soul's strength was comparable to a Void God artifact. Swallowing the Crimson Sword Soul would put the Nine Nether in great danger. However, Yi Chunfeng couldn't care less at this moment. Under the suppression of the Nine Nether's energy, the Crimson Sword Soul went berserk. Tens of thousands of rays of sword light interweaved with each other. The rays of sword light were like the Milky Way flowing in reverse, destroying the Nine Nether space. Seizing the opportunity when the Crimson Sword Soul was attacking the Nine Nether, Yi Chunfeng and the two primitive Tao embryos launched ferocious attacks on the Crimson Sword Soul. Roughly an incense stick's worth of time later, under Yi Chunfeng and the two primitive Tao embryos' relentless attacks, the Crimson Sword Soul finally crumbled. Subsequently, Yi Chunfeng pushed his sword domain to the limit and forcefully suppressed the Crimson Sword Soul that was trying to reconstruct its soul. He summoned the Ancestral Sword Soul and had it devour the Crimson Sword Soul. The Crimson Sword Soul resisted fiercely, but its soul was already destroyed and it was suppressed by the sword domain. It couldn't resist the Ancestral Sword Soul's devouring. Very soon, the Crimson Sword Soul was devoured by the Ancestral Sword Soul and returned to Yi Chunfeng's Soul Sea to refine it. Once the Ancestral Sword Soul finished refining the Crimson Sword Soul, it was very likely to evolve into a Void God Sword Soul. After devouring the Crimson Sword Soul, Yi Chunfeng immediately left the battered and damaged Nine Nether to help the battered Phoenix God and Wraith God fend off the fiend. Have you discovered the fiend's weakness? Yi Chunfeng discovered that the Phoenix God and Wraith God were both heavily injured, while the fiend with an invincible body was only lightly injured. Feeling troubled, he transmitted to the distant Mu Linger. No, I feel like this fiend has no weakness. Mu Linger nodded. No weakness? Yi Chunfeng knitted his brows. If the fiend had no weakness, then it would be too difficult for the three of them to destroy its body. That's not right. If the fiend's body has no weakness, then it's very likely its soul is its weakness. Suddenly, Yi Chunfeng had a flash of inspiration as he guessed the fiend's weakness. To prove his guess, Yi Chunfeng had the Phoenix God and Wraith God attack the fiend's head together. As Yi Chunfeng predicted, the fiend immediately used its trident to defend against Yi Chunfeng's trio's combined attack. It didn't give the three great Void God weapons a chance to hit its head. As expected, the head is the fiend's weakness. With this discovery, Yi Chunfeng's trio used their Void God weapons to attack the fiend's head in succession. Because it was worried about getting hit in the head, the fiend had to divert its attention to defend itself, greatly affecting its combat strength. Slowly, the evil demon's attacks were suppressed by Yi Chunfeng and the other two. The evil demon flapped his wings violently, creating tornadoes. However, the evil demon's wings were now riddled with cracks. Blood flowed out of them, slowing down his movement speed. As its injuries worsened, the fiend went berserk and attacked with all its might with its trident. Its terrifying attacks were like towering mountains crashing down on Yi Chunfeng's group. But for the sake of killing the fiend, Yi Chunfeng's group grit their teeth and didn't retreat. They used all their skills to fight the fiend in a bloody battle. Time turned into minutes and seconds. Soon enough, a day had passed. Chapter 2045. Die! The evil demon roared. The evil demon's trident carried an indomitable killing intent as it pierced into Yi Chunfeng's body. Bang! Yi Chunfeng's sword domain was instantly shattered. The terrifying evil demon's trident shone with the light of death as it directly pierced through Yi Chunfeng's physical body. The moment Yi Chunfeng's physical body exploded, the evil god and the Phoenix God both released their invincible attack. With great coordination, they attacked the evil demon's eyes and pierced them. Roar! 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 After his eyes were attacked, the evil demon let out a painful howl. Large amounts of blood flowed out uncontrollably. Undying divine ability! When the evil demon's eyes were injured, Yi Chunfeng, who was pierced by the evil demon's trident, suddenly used the undying divine ability to rapidly repair his body. In the next moment, He infused a large amount of his blood into the two Void God Swords and used the artifact controlling Tao to control the two Void God Swords to slash at the evil demon's head. With his eyes injured, the evil demon's reaction speed was greatly reduced. When he sensed danger and instinctively dodged, the two Void God Swords that were infused with the temporal law slashed at his head. Gotcha! The evil demon's physical body was almost invincible, but his head was indeed his weak point. After receiving the attack from the two Void God Swords, his head immediately cracked open. His soul was also injured by the two Void God Sword. Soul Devourer's Child Brain. After the evil demon's head exploded, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned the last Soul Devourer's Child Brain and threw it at the evil demon's head. He had it corrode the evil demon's soul see and devour his soul. Although Yi Chunfeng knew that this child brain wasn't enough to control the evil demon, the child brain's attack could greatly weaken the evil demon's combat strength and create the best opportunity for him to kill him. Let's attack. After using the undying divine ability to repair his exploded body, Yi Chunfeng, the Phoenix God, and the evil god continued to attack the evil demon. After being corroded by the Soul Devourer's child brain, the evil demon had to divert a large amount of energy to attack the child brain. This caused his combat strength to decrease drastically. He was completely suppressed by Yi Chunfeng's group. Demonic Domain Destroy. Unable to withstand the ferocious attacks of Yi Chunfeng and the others, the wound on its head became increasingly severe. The frenzied demon exploded a large amount of its origin blood, raising the might of its demon domain to the limit. It used all of its strength to withstand the tidal wave of attacks from Yi Chunfeng and the others. When the demon activated its devil domain, Yi Chunfeng and the other two simultaneously activated their domains and slammed into the demon. Boom boom boom. When the four domains collided, the domains of Yi Chunfeng and the other two exploded at the same time. The resulting explosion caused a large number of cracks to appear on the demonic domain, causing it to shatter into pieces. 100 evil weapons slash. The evil devil domain shattered, and the evil god didn't care about the domain's backlash. He kept spitting blood into the 100 evil weapon, activating the divine runes on the weapon. The divine runes on the 100 evil weapon turned into an invincible divine weapon that ruthlessly slashed at the shattered evil devil domain. It broke the evil devil domain in one fell swoop and slashed at the howling evil devil. Dong dong dong. After receiving the fatal blow from the 100 evil weapons, the evil demon's huge body kept retreating. A deep bloody gash ran through his body, forcing him to retreat again and again. Nirvana Energy. The demon was forced back by the evil god. The Phoenix God immediately activated its strongest Nirvana power and attacked the demon. It continued to attack his head. As long as it shattered his head and crushed his soul, it would be able to kill him. The battle grew more and more intense. Yi Chunfeng and the other two constantly stimulated their own potential to unleash heaven-shaking killing move. They kept attacking the evil demon, whose soul was being nibbled away and who was howling in agony. They cracked his incomparably hard head and destroyed him one step further. Big brother Yi, you guys be careful. Suddenly, Mu Linger's expression shifted from her hiding spot as she shouted at Yi Chunfeng and the other two. As soon as Mu Linger spoke, the evil demon's bloodline power erupted from its body like an erupting volcano. It shot towards Yi Chunfeng and the other two at close range. Although Yi Chunfeng and the other two heard Mu Linger's warning and dodged in time, the evil demon's bloodline power was too terrifying. Its area of effect was too wide, making it impossible to dodge. In this critical moment, the evil god used its own body to shield Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God from the front, blocking the bloodline attack that was enough to kill a late-stage Void Spirit Realm cultivator. Bang! The evil god's body exploded once again. Meanwhile, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God, who were hiding behind the evil god to defend themselves with all their might, managed to avoid disaster. After using the bloodline attack, the evil demon's body weakened and its battle prowess plummeted again. Kill. As the evil god activated its undying bloodline to forcibly repair its body, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix god kept unleashing heaven-shaking killing moves to attack the weakened evil demon. Black gold chains bind. As the evil demon retreated in defeat, Yi Chunfeng summoned the black gold chains he'd obtained from killing Ba and used them to bind the evil demon. The evil demon's injuries were too severe. Its blood-red wings had almost been cut off, so it couldn't dodge the chains at all. Its body was bound in place. Ah! As its body was bound, the evil demon let out a furious roar. It struggled with all its might, trying to tear the black gold chains apart. However, its injuries were too severe and its bloodline power was severely depleted. It couldn't break the black gold chains at all. Seizing the opportunity when the evil demon was attacking the black gold chains, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix god attacked its shattered head with all their might. In the end, the evil demon's tough head exploded. Bang! The demon's head exploded. His soul, along with the soul devourer's brain, was crushed by Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix god's killing moves at the same time. His strong body fell heavily into a pool of blood, and the life in his body rapidly disappeared. Huff, huff, we finally killed it. Although they had wasted the Soul Eater's brain after killing the evil demon, it was all worth it. Not only did Yi Chunfeng find the second key on the evil demon's body, but he also obtained the Void God weapon Devil's Fork and gave it to Shen Henggu. Senior Torch Dragon, I'll give this evil demon's body to you. After refining its body, you should have a chance to step into the Void God realm. Yi Chunfeng kept the evil demon's body in the universe realm and gave it to Torch Dragon, who had cultivated to the level 5 Dao Ancestor realm. In the battle with the evil demon, Yi Chunfeng, the demon god, and the Phoenix god were all severely injured. Especially the demon god, whose body was destroyed by the evil demon again and again. He had severely overdrawn his undying bloodline and needed to recuperate for a period of time. Yi Chunfeng also intended to speed up the fusion of the Red Sword Soul and the Ancestral Sword Soul. He decided to cultivate in the universe realm for a few days with a 50-fold time flow. Time passed day by day. 3 days in the outside world was 150 days in the universe realm. In these 150 days, the Ancestral Sword Soul and the Red Sword Soul successfully fused together and completed a qualitative transformation. A red light appeared on the surface of the new Sword Soul. The power of the Sword Soul also broke through the limit of the ancestral weapon and reached the Void God weapon level. Linger, take me to the third mausoleum. After recovering from his injuries, Yi Chunfeng left the universe realm on his own and followed Mu Linger out of the evil demon mausoleum for the third mausoleum. But this time they were unlucky. They found 2 mausoleums in a row, but both were opened by the ancients to find nothing inside. There were no coffins or keys. Just as they were carefully traversing through the death graveyard, they arrived at the 5th mausoleum. In the 5th mausoleum they could feel the aura of 2 empty gods. One of them was a late empty god realm demonic god. Chapter 2046. Shocking Heaven Devil God, there's another void spirit demon in the tomb. Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul force into the tomb and sensed Shocking Heaven Devil God's presence. Other than the heaven-shaking demonic god, he also sensed a mid-stage nihility god expert. Other than that, Yi Chunfeng didn't sense anyone else. As for the Supreme Divine Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven that he was worried about, they weren't in the tomb. Extraterritorial Divine Stone Seal. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng summoned the enormous extraterritorial Divine Stone to seal the entrance of the tomb. Then he entered the tomb with Mu Linger. At this moment, the demon god and the foe god of the demon race were fighting fiercely with a divine beast the size of a mountain. The divine beast had rough skin and thick flesh. Its 4 limbs were like pillars supporting the sky. It flapped its 4 wings and had 4 thick and long arms. Damn it, How can this chaos mythical beast's defenses be so strong? Even a void spirit weapon can't break through its defenses. Shocking Heaven Devil God, who was wielding his halberd, realized that his halberd couldn't cut through the chaos mythical beast's body at all. The more he fought, the more shocked he became. Meanwhile, the mid-stage Void Spirit Realm expert with the pseudo-Void Spirit weapon couldn't hurt the chaos mythical beast at all. He was hurt by the chaos roar and his soul trembled in discomfort. Devil Domain, 10,000 Demon Wave. Shocking Heaven Devil God opened up his powerful Devil Domain and created a large number of demon shadows to attack the chaos mythical beast. The mid-stage Void Spirit Realm expert also created 9 killing halos and raised his attack power to the maximum. He held his pseudo-Void Spirit weapon and attacked with all his might. But a chaos mythical beast at the peak of its cultivation was too terrifying. Shocking Heaven Devil God and the mid-stage Void Spirit Realm expert couldn't hurt its body no matter how hard they tried. Since their attacks were ineffective, Shocking Heaven Devil God and the mid-stage Void Spirit Realm expert had no choice but to summon powerful trump cards to attack the chaos mythical beast. Shocking Heaven Devil God and the mid-stage Void Spirit Realm expert had powerful trump cards. Shocking Heaven Devil God even had 9 Demon God avatars. After summoning the 9 Demon God avatars, the chaos mythical beast's attacks were suppressed. The 9 Demon God avatars kept tearing at the chaos mythical beast's body and worsening its injuries. Roar. Primordial chaos sky-breaking roar. The aggravation of its injuries had completely enraged the chaos divine beast. Its entire body suddenly swelled, and it opened its bloody mouth to let out a deafening roar. It was as if it wanted to shatter space, and it bombarded the bodies of the 9 demon gods who were charging at it with shocking demonic chi. Buzz. Demon God 9's avatar trembled as it endured the roar of the chaos divine beast. A large number of cracks spread across the surface of its body. Demon God 9 and the mid-level virtual God Almighty were shaken to the core by this roar. They were in great pain. Attack quickly, don't give it a chance to breathe. The avatars of the 9 demon gods ignored the injuries on their bodies and continued to attack the chaos divine beasts with supreme demonic skills. The 2 demon gods also gritted their teeth and burned their powerful bloodline to increase their battle prowess and attack with all their might. While the 3 celestial fiend gods were fighting the chaos beast to the climax, Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger had retracted their auras and quietly crept closer. A chaos divine beast. This is the tomb of a chaos divine beast. Yi Chunfeng was surprised to see the scene inside the Yin Hall through the cracks in the stone door. He had unexpectedly encountered a full-grown chaos divine beast here. Yi Chunfeng didn't charge in blindly as he watched the fierce battle inside the Yin Hall. Instead, he lay in ambush outside the Yin Hall and waited for an opportunity to strike when both sides were injured. Time trickled by. Very soon, more than half a day had passed. Amidst the fierce battle, the chaos divine beast's injuries continued to worsen. Meanwhile, the avatars of the 9 demon gods were in tatters and could shatter at any moment. Demon God 9 and the mid-level virtual god Almighty were even more injured, especially the mid-level virtual god. His entire body was a bloody mess, and he was barely able to withstand the chaos divine beast's attack. Chaos Mountain Body. The chaos divine beast's enormous body suddenly grew in size until it became a chaos divine beast. With a force of nearly 1 trillion Jin, it charged at Demon God 9 and the others. Poof! Although the avatars of the 9 demon gods and Demon God 9 managed to withstand the Chaos Mountain Body's attack with their absolute strength, the mid-level Virtual God 9 could not withstand it. He was sent flying by the Chaos Mountain Body's explosive force, and his entire body was almost shattered. Mysterious Dark, leave this to us. Get out and heal yourself, Demon God 9 said through voice transmission as he sensed that the mid-level Virtual God 9's injuries were too severe and he could barely hold on any longer. All right, Supreme Elder. I'll be back in 2 hours. The mysterious dark demonic god 9 did not force himself. He immediately consumed 2 precious ancestral pills and flew out of the hall that was filled with cracks and could collapse at any time. The moment he flew out of the hall, his sharp senses sensed danger and his expression changed slightly. Just as he was about to retreat to the hall, Yi Chunfeng, who had been waiting for an opportunity, launched a fatal attack on him. Godless sword. Yi Chunfeng flew past with the 2 virtual god swords in his hands. He performed an invincible killing Dao and stabbed the mysterious dark demonic god like a dazzling stream of light. Faced with Yi Chunfeng's fatal attack, the mysterious dark demonic god tried his best to dodge it. However, his injuries were too severe and his body was almost destroyed by the Chaos Divine Beast. His movement speed was greatly affected, and he could not dodge the godless sword at all. Swish! The 2 Nihility god swords pierced through his body, and the terrifying Nihility god force instantly poured into his body, piercing 2 bloody holes in his badly mutilated body. Virtual God Sword Soul / Then, the crimson virtual god sword soul flew out of Yi Chunfeng's spirit sea. It shone with Dao light and slashed the mysterious dark demonic god sword soul's head, crushing his soul and killing him. Who's that? Demon God 9's avatars, who were fighting the Chaos Divine Beast, sensed that the mysterious dark demonic God 9 was killed. He was shocked and immediately distracted. Chaotic hell-shaking break. While the 2 demon gods were distracted, the divine beast of chaos unleashed an earth-shattering attack. Billowing chaotic energy gushed out of its severely injured body and bombarded the 2 demon gods at close range. At this critical moment, the 9 avatars stood in front of Demon God 9 and blocked the chaotic hell-shaking break. Boom! Facing the attack of the primal chaos hell-shaker head-on, the bodies of the 9 fiend gods exploded, while the fiend god was also injured by the powerful counterforce. He crashed heavily into a thick stone pillar, and a large amount of blood spurted out of his mouth. The moment the 9 avatars' bodies exploded, they delivered the final blow to the Chaos Divine Beast. They tore apart the Chaos Divine Beast's mountain-like body and severely injured its soul. Demon God 9's huge body was sent flying. The huge impact caused the entire underworld hall to tremble violently. While Demon God 9 and the Chaos Divine Beast were severely injured, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Phoenix God and Demon God at the entrance of the underworld hall and blocked Demon God 9's escape route. Demon God 9, we meet again. I let you escape last time. This time I will turn you into ashes. Chapter 2047. Why are you guys here? Looking at the sudden appearance of Yi Chunfeng, the Phoenix God, and the Evil God, frightening demonic God's heart sank. He did not expect to meet Yi Chunfeng and the others at this juncture. He was heavily injured and had lost his greatest reliance and many of his trump cards. The demonic God knew that he was no match for Yi Chunfeng and the others. Why are you scared? Phoenix God looked at him angrily and said, When you killed my Phoenix race, you should have known this day would come. Don't be so arrogant. Taishan leader and Tai Huang leader are nearby. Even if you kill me, you will not leave this place alive. Shocking Demon God knew he could not escape. He did not beg for mercy. He quickly swallowed a large amount of ancestor pills to suppress his injuries. Roar, 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 roar. While they were talking, the Chaos God beast that had been hit by the 9 demon god avatars flew over. It roared angrily at Yi Chunfeng and the others. Chaos, come out now. Yi Chunfeng asked Shen Henggu to give the original heart stone to the Chaos God beast. He summoned it from the universe mirror to block the attack of the complete Chaos God beast. The 2 Chaos gods stared at each other. They were both shocked. Chaos. There is chaos in this universe. When the divine beast of chaos saw Hun Dun, its round eyes revealed a trace of excitement. It had not expected to see its own clansman on its deathbed. Chaos was also excited. Since its parents had died, this was the first time it had seen a Chaos God beast. Phoenix God, Evil God, kill Shocking Demon God now. While the two Chaos God beasts were stunned, Yi Chunfeng and the other two attacked Shocking Demon God. They wanted to kill him quickly. Blood pulse, life burn. With his life hanging by a thread, the heaven-shaking demonic god burned his life force and bloodline energy at all costs, forcefully suppressing his injuries. Then, he held his heaven-shaking halberd and started an intense battle with Yi Chunfeng and the other two. Although Shocking Demonic God was terrifyingly powerful and was known as the third most powerful expert of the demonic clan, the Phoenix God and Evil God were both at the late stage of the Nihility God realm and were not weaker than him. With the addition of Yi Chunfeng, who was wielding two Void God swords, the demonic god's attack was instantly suppressed and forced to retreat. While Yi Chunfeng and the other two worked together to kill the demonic god, the two Chaos Divine Beasts communicated with each other using their divine thoughts. As they conversed, the hostility in the eyes of the high-level Chaos Divine Beast became weaker and weaker. Junior, I can still see you before I die. The heavens have treated me well. Let me give you a great opportunity before I die. The Divine Beast of Grand Completion said with a determined look in its eyes. No, old ancestor, you won't die. I will definitely save you and let you be reborn. Hun Dun shook his head vigorously and said, It's useless. The Great Success Chaotic Divine Beast shook his head and said, My life has come to an end. Unless it is a god, no one can save me. Alright, let's not talk anymore. I will merge all the blood in my body into your body to stimulate your potential and help you step into empty god realm. With that, the Great Success Chaotic Divine Beast restrained Hun Dun and performed the secret super skill of the Chaotic Tribe to merge all the blood in his body into Hun Dun's body. No, old ancestor, I don't want your blood. Hun Dun resisted. However, the Great Success Chaotic Divine Beast was unmoved. He continued to merge the most powerful chaotic blood into Hun Dun's body to stimulate his potential and increase his strength rapidly. As a large amount of blood was lost, the Great Success Chaotic Divine Beast's huge body started to wither and his strength became weaker. As for Hun Dun, who had merged a large amount of chaotic blood, he stepped into half-step to Empty God Realm and tried to break through to Empty God Realm. Out of the corner of his eye, Yi Chunfeng noticed what the Great Success Chaotic Divine Beast was doing. He was completely relieved. He activated the Invincible Sword body and merged it with the Sword territory to attack the demonic god with all his might. As the Divine Sword engulfed the heavens and the Myriad Origin Sword slashed down at the same time, the demonic god was sent flying by the two Void God Sword. Two deep sword wounds were left on his body, almost splitting his body apart. Yi Chunfeng sent the demonic god flying with one strike. The Demon Emperor Divine Bell and the 100 evil weapons landed at the same time, bombarding the demonic god's body. They continued to worsen his injuries and turned his powerful demonic god's body into a bloody mess. Just as the heavily injured demonic god was about to be killed by Yi Chunfeng and the other two, Yi Chunfeng suddenly felt the extraterritorial divine stone in his tomb tremble. An extremely powerful expert was attacking the extraterritorial divine stone with all his might. Supreme Emperor Heaven. Through the imprint on the extraterritorial divine stone, Yi Chunfeng could sense that the one attacking the extraterritorial divine stone was Supreme Emperor Heaven. Phoenix God, Evil God, Supreme Emperor Heaven is here. Let's kill the demonic god with all our might. Yi Chunfeng immediately transmitted the news of Supreme Emperor Heaven's appearance to Phoenix God and Evil God. He continuously increased his attack power and attacked the demonic god with all his might. At this time, Hun Dun had merged with all the bloodline power of the Chaos Divine Beast and broke through to the low-level Void God realm. Under the transformation of the Chaos Divine Beast's bloodline, his physical body had undergone a qualitative leap. His physical strength had reached 6 trillion gene, far surpassing Yi Qinfeng's. Junior, I'll give you this key and this Chaos Divine Axe. I hope your fate won't be as tragic as mine. I also hope that one day your cultivation will reach the pinnacle of the universe and restore the glory of my Hun Dun clan. The Chaos Divine Beast, who had almost merged all of his bloodline with Hun Dun's body, said weakly, Patriarch, don't worry. I swear I will restore the glory of my Hun Dun clan. Hun Dun turned into his human form and respectfully kowtowed 3 times to the Chaos Divine Beast, who was about to die. All right, I believe you. The Chaos Divine Beast revealed a rare smile. Boom. Suddenly, there was a deafening explosion outside the mausoleum. The extraterritorial divine stone couldn't withstand Supreme Emperor Heaven's attack and shattered. Hearing the explosion, the demonic god, whose life was hanging by a thread, saw the hope of survival. He continued to burn his life force at all costs, resisting Yi Chunfeng and the other two's attacks with all his might. Jing Tian, it's useless no matter who comes. You will die without a doubt. Phoenix God suddenly activated a powerful nirvana power and attacked the demonic god. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng and the evil god also used their fiercest killing moves to attack the demonic god. In an instant, the space in front of the demonic god started to churn violently. The terrifying power seemed to want to destroy the entire space and engulf him directly. Boom, boom, boom. Facing Yi Chunfeng and the other two's strongest attacks, the demonic god's defense immediately shattered. The terrifying attack directly shattered half of his body, causing him to fall to the ground and spurt blood. Primal Chaos Divine Wood, devour! Just as the demonic god was using the powerful life force to forcefully repair his broken body, Yi Chunfeng summoned his Primal Chaos Law Idol and controlled it to transform into a towering Primal Chaos Divine Wood. Tens of thousands of 5-colored roots extended and took root in the demonic god's body, frantically devouring him. No! Facing the devouring of the Primal Chaos Divine Wood, the demonic god screamed in fear. He circulated his powerful divine power and struggled with all his might. However, under the suppression of Phoenix God and Evil God, the demonic god's resistance became weaker and weaker. In the end, he was suppressed by the two and allowed to be devoured by the Primal Chaos Divine Wood. His body withered more and more. Chapter 2048. Supreme Emperor Clan Head, save me. The shocking demon god whose body was withering away saw Supreme Emperor Heaven appear at the critical moment and saw a ray of hope. His voice trembled as he pleaded for help. Die! Supreme Emperor Heaven's eyes flashed with killing intent as unparalleled divine power emanated from his body. It turned into a storm of destruction that swept towards Yi Chunfeng's group to crush them. As the storm of destruction swept over, Yi Chunfeng's group immediately used their strongest attacks to block it. The 4 ethereal god artifacts were activated by the blood they spat out. Boundless divine lights shone from them as the power of the 4 ethereal god artifacts bombarded the tornado of destruction. But Supreme Emperor Heaven's strength was too terrifying, far surpassing the 3 of them. The 3 of them attacked with all their might, but they couldn't break through the storm. Seeing the 3 of them being swept up in the storm of destruction, Yi Chunfeng had the Primal Chaos Divine Wood fly in front of him. Its Primal Chaos 5 elements light swayed as it blocked the storm. Primal Chaos, hurry and get over here. We have to leave this place as soon as possible. Supreme Emperor Heaven's strength was too terrifying, far surpassing Yi Chunfeng's expectations. He quickly sent the trio into the Cosmos realm and activated the teleportation talisman. Bzzz. The talisman emitted large amounts of teleportation energy that wrapped around Yi Chunfeng and sent him out of the Tomb of Chaos to Ba's tomb before Supreme Emperor Heaven could attack. Phew, that was close. Yi Chunfeng exhaled in relief after using the teleportation talisman to escape without a trace. If it wasn't for Tai's talisman, they wouldn't have been able to escape Supreme Emperor Heaven's clutches. Let's go, we have to leave the death graveyard as soon as possible. With the 3 ancient keys in hand, Yi Chunfeng didn't waste any time. He summoned Mu Linger and followed her out of the death graveyard. Door of Light. Outside the death graveyard, Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger were blocked by an enormous door of light that connected the heavens and the earth. Beneath the door were 16 keyholes. Linger, you were right. A single key can let one person into the inner tomb. Looking at the ancient keyholes, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Phoenix God and gave her a key. The 3 of them inserted the ancient keys into the door of light at the same time. Immediately, a large amount of flowing light emerged from the door of light, enveloping the 3 of them. In the blink of an eye, Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 disappeared outside the door of light and entered the desolation tomb. This is a tomb? After entering the desolate inner tomb, Yi Chunfeng immediately saw a huge mausoleum that was even taller than a mountain. It stretched for an unknown number of miles. Outside the mausoleum stood numerous lifelike statues of divine beasts, guarding the huge mausoleum. Could this be Desolate's tomb? Looking at the huge mausoleum before him, Yi Chunfeng felt that the greatest opportunity in the desolate tomb, the treasures left behind by the desolate primordial, were in this huge mausoleum. That's right, this is the main tomb of the desolate primordial tomb. I can feel great-grandfather's aura. Mu Linger opened her eyes. So speaking, Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 quickened their steps until they reached the huge mausoleum door. They wanted to work together to push it open and enter. Yi Chunfeng's arms erupted with nearly 5 trillion kilograms of force. When he pushed the door with all his might, the terrifying power of the rules of the world immediately surged out of the door, shattering the force that surged out of Yi Chunfeng's arms like breaking rotten wood. Yi Chunfeng was directly sent flying. Awoo! In the next instant, the statues of divine beasts guarding the main tomb seemed to come to life as they roared at Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying sound waves caused Yi Chunfeng's soul to tremble. If not for the God-Eater brain protecting Yi Chunfeng's soul, his soul might have been torn to shreds by the attacks of so many statues. Big Brother Yi, are you alright? Mu Linger's heart clenched at the sight of Yi Chunfeng's pale face bleeding from his 7 orifices. She immediately stepped forward and asked with concern. I'm fine. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and wiped away the blood on his face. Linger, do you have a way to open the door? I'll try. Mu Linger lightly walked to the giant mausoleum door and reached out a small, jade-white hand to trace the ancient markings on the door's surface. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, Mu Linger opened her eyes and said, If I don't sense it, then this door contains the laws of the 3 universes. To open it, we'll either have to surpass the laws of the 3 universes in attack or comprehend them. Surpass the laws of the 3 universes in attack? Yi Chunfeng might have astonishing attack power, but he knew he couldn't break through the laws of the 3 universes. He could only try to comprehend them. Since that's the case, then the 3 of us will try to comprehend them. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and said, I hope we can comprehend the laws of the 3 universes before Supreme Shintian and the rest arrive. Then we can open the door and enter the tomb. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng walked to the huge tomb door and released his powerful soul power into the tomb door. He started to comprehend the 3 universal laws contained within the tomb door. The God-Eater brain had evolved time and time again, so its comprehension and deduction abilities had reached a terrifying level. However, it still found it difficult to comprehend the laws of the other universes. Mu Linger might have extraordinary comprehension abilities, but it was equally difficult for her to comprehend the laws of the other universes. In order to speed up their comprehension, Yi Chunfeng's group shared their results with their companions without reservation. Very soon, 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger both comprehended the laws of their own universes. However, they couldn't comprehend the laws of the 3rd universe. Although the Phoenix God was powerful, she couldn't help Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger while comprehending the laws of the third universe. However, she wasn't idle either. Without reservation, she summoned a large number of ancient formation flags and set up a huge ancestral formation outside the main tomb. She wanted to use the ancestral formation's might to obstruct Supreme Shen-Tian and Supreme Emperor Celestials, so that Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger could have more time to comprehend. Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger communicated as they comprehended. Very soon another 2 days passed. Just as Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger were immersed in comprehending the laws of the third universe, a powerful teleportation force appeared outside the main tomb. Supreme Shen-Tian, dressed in dark golden robes and possessing an unparalleled might, appeared outside the main tomb. Supreme Shen-Tian floated in the air as countless streams of power poured down like a waterfall. Divine light pulsed from his body as his aura seemed capable of crushing mountains and intimidating the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Not good, Qingfeng. Supreme Shen-Tian found the key and entered the main tomb. Compared to Supreme Emperor Celestial, Supreme Shen-Tian was even more terrifying. Against him, Yi Chunfeng's group had no way to fight back. Big Bro Yi, Phoenix God, give me a little more time. I feel like I'm about to comprehend the laws of the third universe. Mu Linger transmitted while bathed in the light of the laws. All right, we'll do our best to stall for time. Chapter 2049. You're surprising me more and more. I didn't expect you to come here before me and even find the 3 keys. Supreme Shen-Tian looked coldly at Yi Chunfeng and Jian Wushuang as he walked into the ancestral array set up by the Phoenix God. Attack! The moment Supreme Shen-Tian walked into the ancestral array, the Phoenix God activated the ancestral array and controlled a large amount of ancestral light to attack Supreme Shen-Tian. He tried his best to trap him and delay him. Humph! You're too naive if you want to hurt me with this ancestral array. Supreme Shen-Tian snorted. The great Tao energy in his body gushed out and turned into rolling waves, shattering the ancestral light. In the next moment, Supreme Shen-Tian took a step forward and a divine light streaked across the ancestral array, tearing apart the ancestral array set up by the Phoenix God with 30,000 supreme-grade array flags. Equipment Manipulation Tao. Yi Chunfeng did not hesitate to use the Equipment Manipulation Tao when the ancestral array was torn apart. He activated the divine runes in the 2 Void God artifacts and slashed at Supreme Shen-Tian. I didn't expect an ant like you to be able to activate the strongest attack of the 2 Void God artifacts. Supreme Shen-Tian's eyes narrowed. An ancient divine tree appeared around him and blocked the strongest attack of the 2 Void God artifacts. Boom! The ancient divine tree trembled. A large amount of spatial energy shot out from the tree and attacked the 2 Void God artifact. It shattered the strongest attack of the 2 Void God artifacts and broke Yi Chunfeng's ultimate move. Spatial Divine Tree. Yi Chunfeng could sense that the ancient divine tree summoned by Supreme Shen-Tian contained complete spatial Tao intent. It was one of the 3 great divine trees in the universe, the Spatial Divine Tree. I didn't expect the Spatial Divine Tree to be in the hands of Supreme Shen-Tian. Yi Chunfeng knew the power of the 3 great divine trees. If the 3 great divine trees were to grow to the maximum, their power would definitely surpass an ordinary Void God artifact. Destroy! After using the Spatial Divine Tree to block the strongest attack of the Divine Sword Devourer and Universal Origin Sword, Supreme Shen-Tian controlled the Spatial Divine Tree to move. Suddenly, a large amount of spatial energy tore apart the tough space of the Chaos Tomb and swept towards Yi Chunfeng and Jian Wushuang. Phoenix Nirvana. In the face of the Spatial Divine Wood's attack, the Phoenix God activated its strongest Nirvana power and summoned the Demon Emperor's Divine Bell. At the same time, Yi Chunfeng activated the unrivaled sword physique and executed 3 supreme skills in a row. Boom boom boom! Several streams of destructive power collided with each other, and the resulting explosion directly shattered the space within a radius of several miles. Although the attacks unleashed by Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God were terrifying, they were unable to withstand the attack of the spatial divine wood and were instantly shattered. Seeing the power of nirvanic rebirth and the three supreme divine abilities being annihilated, Yi Chunfeng and Li Wuchen spared no effort in continuing their attack. However, the difference in strength between them and the supreme divine heaven was too great. The killing moves they continuously used could only weaken the power of space, but they were unable to break through it. Seeing that the space power was about to shatter Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God, Yi Chunfeng suddenly stood in front of the Phoenix God. He crushed the amulet Tai Yi had given him and used the amulet to block the space power's fatal blow. I didn't expect you to have such a treasure on you. But no treasure can save you. Go to hell obediently. Seeing the broken amulet, Supreme Divine Heaven controlled the spatial divine wood to launch a second attack. This time, the power of the attack was even more terrifying. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God had no way of resisting it. Just as Yi Chunfeng took out the god-slaying stone from the Fiend God's treasure vault that could severely injure mid-level void gods, Mu Linger suddenly opened her eyes as she focused on deriving the three universal laws. The power of the three universal laws gushed out of her body. Next, she quickly formed complicated hand seals and mobilized the power of the three supreme laws to envelop Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God, resisting the spatial power that was tearing through space. Supreme Divine Heaven creased his brows slightly and looked towards Mu Linger. He was surprised that she could withstand the spatial divine wood's attack. You guys are giving me more and more surprises. Supreme Divine Heaven's deep eyes shone with light as he controlled the spatial divine wood to continue attacking. He was determined to kill Yi Chunfeng's trio. 36 divine beast sculptures attacked. The space divine wood grew larger and larger as it swayed with spatial energy. Mu Linger controlled the 36 different statues of divine beasts outside the main tomb to attack together. Awo! 36 god-beast roars mixed together and turned into a sound wave. It crushed the space divine wood's attack like it was nothing. The remaining power bombarded the space divine wood. The terrifying sound shook the space divine wood violently and forced Supreme Shintian to take a step back. Although Tai Shintian had only taken a step back, his expression had become extremely ugly. As someone who stood at the peak of the Void God realm, he had never been pushed back by anyone before. This made him a little angry. Die! Supreme Divine Heaven punched out. The terrifying fist shattered the incomparably tough space of the main tomb and attacked Yi Chunfeng's trio with unparalleled destructive power. He wanted to smash them into pieces. Awo! At this moment, the 36 divine beast sculptures let out another roar. Combined with their invincible roars, they shattered Supreme Divine Heaven's punch and forced him back again. 36 divine beast sculptures revive. Mu Linger, who had completely mastered the three great cosmos laws, kept making complicated hand seals that condensed into mysterious light talismans that melded into the 36 divine beast sculptures. She activated them all and surrounded Supreme Divine Heaven. Supreme Divine Heaven's strength might be terrifying, but these 36 divine beasts came from different universes. They had all reached the pinnacle of strength when they were alive and were extremely terrifying. Their combined strength gave Supreme Divine Heaven quite a bit of trouble, causing him to be completely surrounded. He couldn't free himself to attack Yi Chunfeng's trio. While the 36 mystical beasts were attacking Supreme Celestial Sect, Mu Linger quickly bit open her finger and pressed it against the giant tomb door. Using her own blood and her grasp of the three universal laws, she forced open the door to the main tomb. Die for this god! Feeling a strange power surging out of the main tomb's door, Supreme Shintian was furious. He held the space divine wood and attacked the 36 divine beasts that were besieging him with all his strength. With a full force attack, he directly killed 6 extremely terrifying divine beasts and turned them into a bloody mist. But in the next instant, the remaining divine beasts continued to attack him. Once again, he was surrounded and couldn't free himself. Just as Supreme Divine Heaven was becoming more and more enraged, he summoned a black doppelganger to kill the god beasts surrounding him. Suddenly, a large amount of spatial power came from the tomb door, revealing a bottomless black hole. Big Brother Yi, Phoenix God, let's go! When the black hole appeared, Yi Chunfeng's trio didn't hesitate. They rushed into the main tomb before Supreme Divine Heaven could attack, angering Supreme Divine Heaven to the point of madness. Chapter 2050. Hoo, we've finally entered the main tomb. After entering the Great Desolate's main tomb, Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief. He said with lingering fear, Ling do you think the Supreme God Heaven will force their way in? They won't. Mu Linger shook her head. Supreme Celestial Heaven might be strong, but they shouldn't have the strength to break into the main tomb. Then that's good. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Let's go. Let's enter the main tomb and see what kind of fortune the Great Desolation and Great Desolation left behind. So speaking, Yi Chunfeng's trio headed deeper into the main tomb. What a stifling aura! Yi Chunfeng felt stifled as he sensed the power of the main tomb. It was like a mountain was crushing down on his heart, making it hard for him to breathe. As they walked, the three of them passed through the pitch-black tunnel and saw an incomparably huge Een Palace appear in front of them. When they walked into the Een Palace, a blinding light pierced into their eyes, causing them to be unable to open their eyes. As they gradually adapted to the strong light in the Een Hall, Yi Chunfeng and the other two saw that there were 3 doors of light that were several zhang tall. They were formed by countless white lights. Beyond the doors of light was a boundless starry sky. Other than that, there was nothing else in the Een Hall. Looking at the doors of light in front of them, Yi Chunfeng and the other two knew that these 3 doors of light were connected to the inner space of the main tomb. However, they did not blindly enter the doors of light. Instead, they silently sensed for the doors of light that were most suitable for them. Let's choose the one on the left. I can sense the aura of our universe's laws from this door. I can help you guys in my universe. Mu Linger pointed at the door on the left. Alright. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God nodded before following Mu Linger through the left door. They entered a mysterious starry sky. The cosmic laws here were completely different from Yi Chunfeng's universe. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God couldn't get used to it, so their strength was greatly affected as well. But as Mu Linger passed on the rules of this universe to Yi Chunfeng and Long Fei, they quickly adapted to the rules and recovered most of their strength. Then they followed Mu Linger into the skies. As they flew, an incomparably huge spatial rift suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. Then, 3 men and 1 woman in battle armor walked out of the spatial rift. Chains of laws coiled around the 4 of them. Each chain weighed hundreds of millions of kilograms, suppressing a part of the world. 9 essences supreme gods. They are the ultimate experts of our world, 9 essences supreme gods. Sensing the aura of rules emanating from the 3 men and 1 woman, Mu Linger immediately guessed their identities and revealed a serious expression. 9 essences supreme god. Ling how strong is this 9 essences supreme god? Yi Chunfeng didn't know much about Mu Linger's strength, much less the true battle prowess of a 9 essences supremacy. A 9 essences supreme god is equivalent to the void gods of this universe. They stand at the peak of existence, but they have a deeper understanding of the rules and their battle prowess is even more frightening. Mu Linger explained in detail. But 9 essences supreme gods have weaknesses as well. Their hearts are their weaknesses. As long as we can destroy their hearts, which are filled with 9 essences energy, we can heavily injure or kill them. Hearts. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Linger, you back up a bit. The Phoenix God and I will deal with these 4 9 essences supreme gods. So speaking, Yi Chunfeng combined his 3 trump cards and raised his own battle prowess to the limit. He summoned his 2 void god weapons, and faced the 4 Nine Essences supreme gods with the Phoenix god. As Yi Chunfeng and Long Fei drew near, the 4 Nine Essences supreme gods erupted with powerful core energy to form 4 divine weapons. The weapons met Yi Chunfeng and Long Fei and began to fight fiercely under the stars. As soon as they exchanged blows, Yi Chunfeng deeply experienced the terror of a Nine Essences supreme god. His powerful origin energy far exceeded the divine power in his body. The impact caused his arms to tremble, and he was forced to retreat. The Phoenix god was similarly suppressed by the 2 Nine Essences sovereigns. The Demon Emperor's divine bell, which had transformed into the size of a mountain, was sent flying by the combined power of the 2 Nine Essences sovereigns. So strong. How can 9 Essences supreme gods be so strong? Yi Chunfeng felt immense pressure against 2 Nine Essences supreme gods. His attacks were broken one after another, and even his sword domain couldn't suppress the 2 time deceleration laws. With his attacks broken, Yi Chunfeng immediately used time deceleration laws to stab at the 2 Nine Essences supreme gods with a seemingly slow motion. Swish. Although the 2 Nine Essences supreme gods had terrifying battle prowess, they couldn't grasp the changes in time and were stabbed in the heart by the Myriad Origin sword. Immediately afterward, Myriad Origin Qi gushed out in an attempt to pierce the 9 Essences supreme god's body and his heart. However, not only were the 2 Nine Essences supreme gods powerful in battle, but their defenses were even more terrifying. The Myriad Origin sword's full-force attack was unable to pierce through their armor and into their bodies. Rumble. Yi Chunfeng gritted his teeth and continued to attack, but the 9 Essences supreme god's body erupted with terrifying 5-elemental core energy. It transformed into a giant 5-elemental hand that shook space and crushed toward Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng was able to block the 5-elemental hand with his 2 void god swords, but he was still wounded by the palm, and large amounts of blood spurted from his mouth. Before Yi Chunfeng had a chance to catch his breath, the other 9 Essences supreme god unleashed the power of the Dome of Heaven. It was like a heavenly punishment capable of destroying all things as it slammed into Yi Chunfeng, sending him flying again and shattering his top-grade ancestral armor, the Devil Dragon battle armor. Yi Chunfeng was injured by the combined attacks of the 2 Nine Essences supreme gods. Although the Phoenix god wasn't at a disadvantage due to her absolute strength, it was difficult for her attacks to break through their defenses. Big Bro Yi, I'll help you. Mu Linger saw that Yi Chunfeng was in danger and flew over on her rule light. In the next instant, Mu Linger's body became one with the universe's laws and forcefully controlled their power to bind the 2 Nine Essences supreme gods. A good chance. The moment the 2 Nine Essences supreme gods were bound by the universal laws, Yi Chunfeng immediately used up all the divine power in his body and unleashed the path of equipment manipulation. He threw out the 2 void god swords, which were at their strongest, to attack one of the 9 Essences supreme gods whose mobility was restricted. Rip! Under the strongest attack of the 2 void god swords, the 9 Essences supreme god's heart was pierced. A large amount of origin energy exploded in his body, quickly disintegrating his body. Chaos Divine Wood, devour! As the 9 Essences supreme god's body disintegrated, Yi Chunfeng summoned his Chaos Dharma idol and turned it into a towering Chaos Divine Wood. It took root in the 9 Essences supreme god's body and furiously devoured its origin energy. What terrifying energy! Yi Chunfeng was connected to the Chaos Divine Wood, so he could sense the Chaos Divine Wood devouring the 9 Essences supreme god and the rapid transformation of its chaotic energy. A look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. He had a feeling that if the Chaos Divine Wood devoured enough 9 Essences supreme gods, its Dharma idol might be able to break through to the late Void Spirit realm. Die! The other 9 Essences supreme god tore through the shackles of rule light as he watched his companion being devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood. He wielded his origin weapon and tried to destroy the Chaos Divine Wood. However, the Chaos Divine Wood was simply too powerful. His attack couldn't harm it in the slightest. Chapter 2051. Chaos Dharma Idol Return. With Mu Linger's help, they managed to kill one of the 9 Essences Supremes. Yi Chunfeng's pressure was greatly reduced, and he quickly summoned back his Chaos Dharma Idol to engage in a fierce battle with the other 9 Essences Supremacy. Rule Bindings. While Yi Chunfeng and the 9 Essences devolved into a fierce battle, Mu Linger continued to channel the power of rules into chains that wrapped around the 9 Essences Cultivator. One sword without gods. As soon as the 9 Essences Supremacy was bound, the Void God Sword Spirit melded with the Myriad Origin Sword to amplify its attack power and stabbed the 9 Essences Supremacy in the heart. Over 2.5 trillion caddies of strength, the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams, and the power of the domain erupted at the same time to shatter the 9 Essences Supremacy's armor and attack his heart. Die for this venerable one. His armor continued to shatter as his heart was attacked by the Myriad Origin Chi. The 9 Essences Supreme God went berserk as boundless origin energy gushed out of his body, tearing apart the chains of laws as if they were nothing more than rotten wood. Yi Chunfeng, who had been attacking him at close range, was sent flying. 10,000 swords returned to origin. Forcefully stabilizing himself, Yi Chunfeng activated the invincible sword body and transformed it into tens of thousands of invincible divine sword. He continued to attack the 9 Essences Supreme God's heart, wanting to break through his body and shatter his heart. Firmament Origin Energy, Firmament Transformation. With his fatal weakness under constant attack, the 9 Essences Supremacy activated his strongest firmament origin energy to form a firmament that swept towards Yi Chunfeng. 10,000 swords returned to origin. 10,000 deities tribulation. Boundless chaos. Yi Chunfeng immediately raised his battle prowess to the maximum in the face of the sky formed by a 9 Essences divine sovereign. He continuously used 3 supreme divine abilities to meet the attack, continuously tearing apart the sky that was sweeping towards him. However, the battle prowess of a 9 Essences Supreme God far surpassed Yi Chunfeng's, and the power of the origin source was beyond imagination. Even when Yi Chunfeng used 3 supreme divine abilities at the same time, he still couldn't tear the sky apart. Seeing Yi Chunfeng being swept up by the firmament, Mu Linger made her move again. She controlled the universe's rules to form countless interlocking roots that wrapped around Yi Chunfeng's body to block the firmament's attack. Void God Sword Soul / Inside the dense roots, the God-Eater brain quickly deduced and locked onto the 9 Essences Supreme God's true body. Then Yi Chunfeng controlled the Void God Sword Soul to fly out of the roots and slash at the 9 Essences Supreme God's true body. Void God Sword's attack, but it couldn't injure the 9 Essences Supremacy. Still, the attack allowed Mu Linger to pinpoint the 9 Essences Supremacy's exact location. Immediately, she controlled the laws of the universe to bind him. The instant the 9 Essences Supreme God was bound, Yi Chunfeng hurled the divine sword, Sky Devourer, at the 9 Essences Supreme God's heart. Then, Yi Chunfeng once again demonstrated the Tao of Slaughter, fusing the invincible sword body, the Void God Sword Spirit, and the Universal Origin Sword. He pierced through the divine sword's devouring heaven sword, increasing its power. Chi. Under the overlapping attacks of the 2 Void God Swords, the 9 Essences Supreme God's body was pierced through. The unstoppable tip of the devouring sky sword pierced through the heart filled with origin energy, continuously destroying it. I want your life. The 9 Essences Supreme God went crazy from the pain of having his heart pierced through by the divine sword of Devourer. At this time, the divine sword of Devourer erupted with boundless sword intent, directly crushing his heart and igniting the origin energy within it, shattering his body. With his heart shattered, the Nine Essences Supreme God's battle prowess plummeted. He was no longer a threat to Yi Chunfeng. Chaos Divine would devour. Yi Chunfeng quickly turned his Chaos Dharma idol into the Chaos Godwood, which took root in the Nine Essences God Sovereign's shattered body and began to devour his essence power. Ling quickly helped the Phoenix God. While the Chaos Wood was devouring the Nine Essences' supremacy, Yi Chunfeng had Mu Linger help the Phoenix God Emperor fend off the enemy. Currently, the battle between the Phoenix God Emperor and the two Nine Essences' supremacies had reached its climax. Scorching Phoenix celestial flames scorched heaven and earth, while the Demon Emperor's divine bell glowed with divine light under the Phoenix God's control. The two Nine Essences' supremacies weren't to be outdone, either. They kept using their core abilities to shake the 9 heavens and 10 earths as they fought fiercely against the Phoenix God. Despite that, the Phoenix God was still unable to shatter their hearts. Chains of laws bind. Mu Linger approached like a celestial maiden and immediately controlled the universe's core to bind one of the fiercely fighting 9 essences' supremacies. The Phoenix God understood and activated the power of nirvanic rebirth. Like an unstoppable divine sword, it cut through all obstacles and attacked the chest of the bound 9 essences' supreme God. Crack! The 9 essences' supremacy's armor shattered as the Phoenix Nirvana energy stabbed into his body. Ancient Bronze Sword. As the Phoenix God's Nirvana energy pierced through the 9 essences' supremacy's body, it summoned the ancient bronze sword it had obtained from killing Ba and hurled it forward. It pierced through the supremacy's heart with unstoppable force. Crack, crack, crack. The 9 essences' supremacy's body began to crumble as the sword pierced his heart. Meanwhile, the primal chaos divine wood that had devoured the second 9 essences' supremacy appeared and took root in his body. It furiously devoured his core energy and cut off his life force. Arg! Hand over your lives. The deaths of her 3 companions infuriated the sole female 9 essences' supremacy. She let out a furious howl and activated the universe's core energy to attack the Phoenix God. While the Phoenix God was enduring the attacks, Yi Chunfeng rushed over with his 2 void spirit swords to help her fend off the 9 essences' supremacy's ferocious attacks. Yi Chunfeng, the Phoenix God, and Mu Linger worked together to suppress the 9 essences' supremacy's ferocious attacks and continuously attack her heart. Thanks to Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God's relentless attacks, the 9 essences' supremacy's battle armor shattered and her heart was pierced through by the void spirit swords. In the end, the primal chaos divine wood devoured her. 4 primal chaos divine fruits. After devouring the core energy of the 4 9 essences' supremacies, the primal chaos divine wood had grown even stronger and purer. 4 primal chaos divine fruits had formed within it. Although there weren't many chaos divine fruits, every single one of them contained powerful origin energy. It wasn't something the early chaos divine fruits could compare to. Phoenix God, I'll give you a primal chaos divine fruit. Hurry and refine it to heal your wounds. Yi Chunfeng wasn't stingy. He plucked one of the fruits and gave it to the battered and exhausted Phoenix God. Big bro Yi, primal chaos divine fruits are useless to me, so you don't need to give them to me. Yi Chunfeng plucked a second primal chaos divine fruit and gave it to Mu Linger, who had been of great help to him, but she didn't accept it. Alright then Linger, help stand guard for us. Yi Chunfeng didn't insist. He ate the primal chaos divine fruit in his hand and sat cross-legged in space with the Phoenix God. He quickly refined the core energy within the fruit to heal his wounds and increase his own strength. While Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God were recuperating and cultivating under the starry sky, Supreme Emperor Heaven had entered the great desolate tomb and summoned a creation divine weapon that was far stronger than a void god artifact to help Supreme Emperor Heaven attack the tomb's entrance. Their attacks had reached the limits of the void god realm, but they couldn't break through the tomb's entrance that sealed the 3 universal laws. This infuriated the 2 who stood at the peak of the void god realm. Chapter 2052. Let's go and see what other dangers await us. After a day's worth of refinement, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God had mostly healed their wounds. Their strength was also increasing under the nourishment of the Chaos Divine Fruit. As they flew, the space in front of them suddenly shattered as a towering, scarlet ancient tree burst out of space. Its red canopy swayed in the wind as it blocked their path. Because of its appearance, the temperature of the stars in the sky continued to rise. Scarlet Flame Divine Wood. When Mu Linger saw the divine wood blocking their path, she recognized it as one of the 10 great ancient trees of their universe, the Scarlet Divine Wood. It nurtured the highest level of Scarlet Divine Fire. Qingfeng, I'll take this Scarlet Flame Divine Wood. Phoenixes were born from fire, so the Scarlet Flame Divine Wood was a great tonic for the Phoenix God. After refining this Scarlet Flame Divine Wood, the Phoenix God's flames could rise in rank. All right. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head, replying with a pained expression. As he spoke, the Scarlet Flame Divine Wood began to sway, releasing endless flames that swept towards Yi Chunfeng's group. Linger, does this Scarlet Flame Divine Wood have any weaknesses? As Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God fought against the Scarlet Flame Divine Wood, they transmitted to Mu Linger in the distance. The Scarlet Flame Divine Wood's weakness lies in its core. Mu Linger transmitted back, then told Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God the location of its core. All right. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God used all their strength to attack the heart of the Scarlet Fire Divine Tree. They continuously tore apart the Scarlet Fire Divine Tree and attacked the tree. However, this Divine Fire Scarlet Tree was extremely terrifying. The Divine Fire Scarlet Tree it released was quite a threat to Yi Chunfeng. It continuously melted his defenses and burned his physical body. Chaos Divine Wood Restrain. Unable to defend against the Scarlet Divine Fire's attack, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned his Chaos Dharma Idol. He controlled his Chaos Dharma Idol to transform into the Chaos Divine Wood and attacked the Scarlet Divine Wood. Although the Scarlet Flame Divine Wood was powerful, there was still a big gap between it and the Chaos Divine Wood. Add to that the fearless Phoenix God's ferocious attacks, and Mu Linger's control of the universe's laws, and the Divine Scarlet Wood was quickly restrained by the Chaos Divine Wood. 10,000 swords returned to origin. Yi Chunfeng's eyes narrowed as he locked onto the core of the flaming divine tree. He instantly activated the invincible sword physique and merged it with the Void God Sword Soul. Tens of thousands of invincible divine swords attacked the core of the flaming divine tree. The divine sword engulfed the heavens, and the myriad origin sword also followed the full force attack of the 10,000 invincible divine swords, piercing through the scarlet flame divine tree's crimson trunk and attacking its heart. Screech, screech, screech. Seeing the scarlet flame divine tree's trunk being pierced through by Yi Chunfeng, the phoenix god raised its head and gave a long howl before transforming into its true form. It turned into a streak of red light that tore through the trunk of the scarlet flame divine tree and entered its body, swallowing the core in one gulp. The scarlet flame divine tree was completely enraged by the phoenix god's devouring of its core. It kept channeling the power of the divine wood to attack the phoenix god, hoping to crush it. Chaos divine wood, restrain it with all your might. Sensing that the phoenix god was in danger, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to restrain the Scarlet Flame's Divine Wood with all its might. He continuously crushed its incomparably tough roots and dispersed its Divine Wood power, preventing it from attacking the Phoenix God with all its might. Cosmic chains break. Bathed in the light of the laws, Mu Linger's hands moved swiftly as she manipulated the power of the universe's laws into snake-like chains. They broke through the scarlet flame divine tree like a hot knife through butter, further sealing it off and protecting the phoenix god. Under the dual protection of the chaos divine wood and Mu Linger, the pressure on the phoenix god was greatly reduced. It channeled the divine power in its body to furiously refine the core of the scarlet flame divine tree. As the core of the flaming red divine tree continued to be refined, the strength of the phoenix god increased rapidly, while the power of the flaming red divine tree continued to decrease. Huge cracks appeared on the tree trunk, and the lush tree crown continued to wither. Around a day later, the phoenix god finished refining the core of the scarlet flame divine tree and shattered it in one fell swoop. "Congratulations, phoenix god!" Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile when he saw that the phoenix god had refined the flaming divine wood core, increasing his strength and the might of the phoenix divine fire. The stronger the phoenix god was, the greater their chances of obtaining the ultimate treasure. "Many thanks, Chunfeng, Ling Er." Sensing the changes in its body, the phoenix god revealed a graceful smile as it thanked them from the bottom of its heart. Regardless of whether or not she could obtain the fortune of the primitive wild's tomb, she was satisfied. The phoenix god had never expected to reach the late void spirit realm so quickly, so she was filled with gratitude towards Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger. She rejoiced at the chance to work with them. "Let's go. Let's keep going deeper into the cosmos and see what other fortunes await us." So speaking, Yi Chunfeng's group continued to recover as they flew deeper into the cosmos. Day after day passed. Once they reached the depths of the cosmos, Yi Chunfeng's group was attacked by 6 more 9 Essences Supremes. But as the Phoenix God's strength increased and the trio's teamwork improved, the 9 Essences Supremes were no longer a threat to them. The 3 of them worked together to injure the 9 Essences Supremes so the Chaos Divine wood could devour them and form Chaos Divine fruit. Slowly, the 3 of them reached the depths of outer space. They discovered a star nest that seemed to be condensed from billions of stars. In the center of the star nest stood a man in black armor. He wielded a black dragon spear and wore black dragon boot. His presence seemed to have fused with outer space. What a terrifying aura! Yi Chunfeng suddenly felt like he was facing Supreme Emperor Heaven as he stared at the man in black armor. His heart was filled with a sense of helplessness. "Ling Er, can you sense this person's true strength?" Yi Chunfeng asked in a low voice. The trio didn't approach the black-armored man blindly. "This person should be a 4th level 9 Essences Supremacy, equivalent to a peak late void spirit realm expert of your world." Mu Linger closed her eyes and used the laws of the cosmos to peek into the man's true strength. Peak late void spirit realm expert. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God furrowed their brows. The Phoenix God had refined the scarlet flame divine wood core, but was still some distance away from the peak of late void spirit realm. Meanwhile, Yi Chunfeng had used all his trump cards and only reached the peak of mid-void spirit realm. Even with Mu Linger's help, they were still no match for the black-armored man. "Ling Er, do you think the 3 of us have a chance of defeating him if we work together?" Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and transmitted. "It'll be difficult." Mu Linger shook her head. "A 4th level 9 Essences Supremacy is already a peak existence in our world. Moreover, I can sense that he's fused with the cosmos and can borrow its power endlessly. Even if the 3 of us work together, we have no chance of defeating him. Since that's the case, then let's cultivate here for a while. We'll make our move once we've improved our strength. That way, we'll have a better chance of defeating him." Yi Chunfeng decided after some thought. Alright. Chapter 2053. Time passed day by day. The Phoenix God ate 2 Chaos Divine fruits in a row to break through to the late void spirit realm. On the other hand, Yi Chunfeng had refined a Chaos Divine fruit that contained the origin energy. However, he was still unable to break through the bottleneck of his realm and take the final step to enter the virtual god realm. Looks like I cultivated too quickly in the beginning and left behind many hidden injuries. It's impossible to break through anytime soon. Since even the Chaos Divine Fruit couldn't help Yi Chunfeng break through, he could only think of other ways to increase his strength. "Linger, come with me. We'll hunt down 9 Essences Supremes." Since he couldn't break through his own cultivation, Yi Chunfeng could only think of ways to help the Chaos Dharma idol break through. If it could break through to late void spirit realm, it'd greatly increase his battle strength. Mu Linger, who had been silently comprehending the universe's laws, opened her eyes and followed Yi Chunfeng away from the meteorite to search for 9 essences supremes in space. There were many 9 essences supremes hidden in the stars. Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger flew east for half a day before they were intercepted by 3 9 essences supremes. As Mu Linger's comprehension of the universe's laws deepened, her chains of laws grew stronger as well. Bound by the chains, the 9 essences supremes couldn't unleash their full strength and were forced into a passive position. Around 3 days later, Yi Chunfeng successfully killed the 3 9 essences supremes and had the Chaos Divine Wood devour them. If things keep going like this, the Chaos Divine Wood should be able to break through after devouring another 10 9 essences supremes. Yi Chunfeng could sense that the Chaos Divine Wood's chaos energy had grown stronger after devouring the 3 9 essences supremes. His Dharma idol was getting closer and closer to breaking through to late void spirit realm. He quickly recovered from his injuries and continued to search for 9 essences supremes with Mu Linger. Soon enough, a month passed by. During this month, Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger worked together to kill another 13 9 essences hierarchs and condensed 13 primal chaos divine fruit. Combined with the primal chaos divine fruits from the primal chaos divine wood, he now had 21 primal chaos divine fruits with origin energy. It was enough for him to help Phaeton and the rest enter the void spirit realm. After devouring the 13 9 essences gods, the Chaos Godwood completed its final transformation, pushing the Chaos Dharma idol into the late void god realm. Its primitive Taoheart was even stronger than before. Now that the primal Chaos Dharma idol had broken through, Yi Chunfeng didn't waste any time. He flew back to the meteorite with Mu Linger, only to discover that the Phoenix God was still cultivating. After refining 2 Chaos Divine Fruits, the Phoenix God's strength had clearly increased, and the Phoenix Divine Fire burning on her body was even more powerful, enough to melt a peak ancestral artifact. Yi Chunfeng cultivated as he waited. On the 5th day, the power of the Phoenix God's Phoenix God Fire suddenly multiplied. It burned the meteorite beneath her, melting it and distorting the space around it. After refining the 2 Chaos Divine Fruits and the Scarlet Flame Divine Wood core, the Phoenix God had finally reached the late void god realm. Let's go, we'll challenge that black-armored man. If we can't beat him with our current strength, then we won't have a chance with the fortune in the main tomb. Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 adjusted themselves to their best condition and flew towards the star nest in the distance. You've finally found the courage to challenge this honorable one. Looking at Yi Chunfeng and the other 2, the black-armored, Black Dragon Spear 9 Essences Supreme God opened his eyes. He looked like an invincible god of war. His eyes flickered with dazzling light as he looked at Yi Chunfeng and the other 2. When he saw the fairy-like Mu Linger dressed in a white robe, his cold eyes flickered with surprise. "Is your surname Chu or Mu?" the black-armored man asked after staring at Mu Linger. "Junior Mu Linger greets Senior." Mu Linger bowed deeply towards the black-armored man. "Mu Linger, so you're a descendant of God." The black-armored man's tone softened. "If you defeat me, not only will each of you receive a treasure as a reward, you can also see the main coffins of Flood and Desolate. If you fail, I'll spare your lives and send you on your way out on account of my status as a descendant of God." "Senior, I have a question for you." Yi Chunfeng never expected Mu Linger to have such a powerful background, so he relied on her status to ask the question. "Speak." The black-armored man shifted his gaze to Yi Chunfeng as he asked in a low voice. "With Senior's strength, why are you trapped here? Just who left behind this tomb?" Yi Chunfeng voiced his doubts. "For her sake, I'll answer your question," the black-armored man said after some thought. "Whether it's me or Flood and Desolate, we're all here of our own free will. The prehistoric tomb is an opportunity left behind by God. You could say it's God's game. God's game. Yi Chunfeng's heart surged with waves. He never expected the prehistoric tomb to be related to God. And this God was clearly not from his own universe, but from another. Thinking back to Mu Linger's words, Yi Chunfeng guessed that the prehistoric tomb might have come from Mu Linger's universe. Senior, between you and Flood and Desolate, who's stronger and who's weaker? Yi Chunfeng suppressed his shock and asked. Flood and Desolate were the strongest in their universe. They should have died after losing the battle for the position of God, but God didn't kill them. Instead, he had them guard the prehistoric tomb. Their strength far surpassed mine, the black-armored man said after some thought. In other words, the most precious opportunity in the prehistoric tomb has nothing to do with Flood and Desolate, but the treasure left behind by God. Yi Chunfeng's heart suddenly began to pound. If he could obtain the treasure left behind by God, then his chances of fighting for the position of God in this world would be higher than anyone else's. You have too many questions. You still need to answer many of them yourself. But before that, you need to defeat me first. If you can't even defeat me, how can you talk about challenging Flood and Desolate? The black-armored man didn't answer Yi Chunfeng's question. Alright, then let's fight. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and burned his primordial blood. He merged with the heart of God and the chaos aspect of the late stage of the empty God realm, increasing his strength to the late stage of the empty God realm, which was equivalent to the Phoenix God realm. At the same time, the Phoenix God ignited its powerful Phoenix divine fire and transformed into its strongest battle form. It held the Demon Emperor's divine bell in one hand and the ancient bronze sword in the other, ready to attack the black-armored man at any moment. Your strength is passable, but you're still a little lacking if you want to defeat me, the black-armored man said coldly. He took a step forward, causing the entire star nest to spin. Millions of stars shone with a blinding white light that illuminated the entire sky. In the next moment, the black-armored man pierced his spear towards Yi Chunfeng and the other two. As the spear pierced out, it instantly merged with the power of millions of stars. The peerless spear light was like a silver dragon as it pierced through Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God. Facing this spear, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God felt like they had nowhere to hide. They immediately controlled their respective Void God artifacts to defend themselves. However, the power of this spear was too great. It had completely exceeded Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God's expectations. Even the 4 Void God artifacts couldn't defend against it. Both of them spat out mouthfuls of blood. The black-armored man had only pierced his spear once, but that was enough to injure Yi Chunfeng severely, sending him flying more than 1,000 meters away. Chapter 2054. Strong, too strong. This black-armored man is too strong. After more than a month of cultivation, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God's powers had increased significantly. Their chaotic Dharma power had even broken through to the late stage of the Nihility God realm. However, even when they joined forces, they could not even block a single spear strike from the man in black armor. This made them realize how terrifying the man in black armor was. Big brother Yi, I'll help you. Mu Linger saw that Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God were injured and immediately flew above the circling star nest. Chains of laws erupted from her body to break into the nest. Seal! Mu Linger's hands moved swiftly as she made complicated hand seals. Waves of universal law energy poured down to strengthen the chains and seal the circling star nest, cutting off the connection between it and the black-armored man. No wonder you're the descendant of a god. Your methods are heaven-defying. The black-armored man revealed a look of praise after Mu Linger sealed the star nest. He didn't attack her, but kept attacking Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God instead. Sword domain! Divine flame domain! The man in black armor attacked. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God opened up their domain powers at the same time and attacked him with all their might. Break! As the two domains approached, the black-armored man immediately stabbed out with his spear. A peerless spear pierced through the two domains to stab Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God. His attacks have weakened. Although the black-armored man's spear had broken through the two domains, Yi Chunfeng could clearly sense that his attacks had weakened. It was obvious that Mu Linger had sealed the entire star nest and cut off his connection to it, greatly reducing his battle prowess. Phoenix Divine Flame. Enduring the backlash of her domain, the Phoenix God spat out scorching Phoenix Divine Flames to meet the attack head-on. She forcibly resisted the remaining power of the black-armored man's spear. Then, under the control of Yi Chunfeng's mind, the Void God Sword Soul slashed down towards the black-armored man. Boom! Just as the Void God Sword Soul was about to strike the black-armored man's head, he suddenly threw out a punch. A terrifying fist light tore through the tough starry sky, shattering the Void God Sword Soul's attack and sending it flying. 10,000 swords returned to origin. One sword godless. 10,000 deities tribulation. Yi Chunfeng stepped forward with his sword and suddenly closed in on the black-armored man. He deduced the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams to the extreme and activated the strongest invincible sword body. He used 3 supreme divine abilities consecutively and attacked the black-armored man's heart at close range. Boom, boom, boom. The instant the 3 supreme abilities landed on the black-armored man's body, a surge of origin energy beyond Yi Chunfeng's imagination erupted from his body. Like a broken dam, it shattered the 3 supreme abilities like crushing dry weeds and smashed into Yi Chunfeng, whose expression changed drastically as he dodged with all his might. Even though Yi Chunfeng was able to evade the essential power unleashed by the black-armored man using the laws of time, he was still wounded by the terrifying residual power. Blood flowed from the corners of his mouth, and a large number of cracks appeared on his devil-dragon battle armor. Phoenix Nirvana. Now that Yi Chunfeng was injured, the Phoenix God immediately used her last resort. She ignited her bloodline limitlessly and activated the power of Nirvana. An incomparably huge phantom of a phoenix appeared on her body. It burned with endless divine fire and attacked the black-armored man. The black-armored man didn't dodge the Nirvana Fire Phoenix's attack. Instead, he threw out his black dragon spear and defeated the Nirvana Fire Phoenix. Bam! After being attacked by the black dragon spear, the Nirvana Fire Phoenix was immediately shattered. The terrifying spear power passed through the Nirvana Fire Phoenix and attacked the nearby Phoenix God. It broke through her defenses and punctured a bloody hole in her body. Large amounts of blood flowed out uncontrollably. 3,000 God-transforming fists. Seizing the opportunity when the black-armored man threw out his black dragon spear, Yi Chunfeng raised his speed to the extreme and appeared in front of the black-armored man, as if he had teleported. He instantly unleashed the 3,000 God-transforming fists, which swept through the sky like a meteor shower. Not bad, but you're a little weak. The black-armored man took a slight step back and waved his hands in front of him, stirring up powerful origin energy to form a yin-yang tai chi diagram that blocked the 3,000 God-transforming fists. Boom, boom, boom. Dense explosions rang out one after another. Each of Yi Chunfeng's 3,000 God-transforming fists contained over 2.5 trillion kilograms of force, but when they struck the yin-yang tai chi diagram, they were unable to break through it. This made Yi Chunfeng more and more fearful. He didn't know how to defeat the black-armored man. Screech, screech. When the black-armored man easily broke through Yi Chunfeng's attack, the Phoenix God launched another attack. She spat out mouthfuls of blood essence into the Demon Emperor's divine bell at all costs, activating the ancient divine patterns in the Demon Emperor's divine bell and smashing it at the black-armored man. The moment the Demon Emperor's divine bell with awakened divine patterns smashed down, the Phoenix God poured all her divine power into the ancient green bronze sword and threw it at the black-armored man with all her might. Facing the double attack of the Phoenix God, the black-armored man's expression didn't change. He summoned a black dragon-like spear and thrust it forward with the momentum of the universe, sending the ancient green bronze sword and the demon emperor's divine bell flying. The art of equipment manipulation. When the black-armored man broke through the Phoenix God's consecutive attacks, Yi Chunfeng unleashed his strongest attack. He poured all his divine power into the two Void God swords and slashed at the black-armored man's heart with all his might. With the breakthrough of the chaos aspect, Yi Chunfeng executed the art of equipment manipulation. The two Void God swords were even more powerful this time. The two divine swords broke through the origin light of the black-armored man like a hot knife through butter and pierced his black armor. Kacha! A crisp cracking sound was heard. After receiving the strongest attack of the two Void God swords, the black-armored man's black armor shattered. The terrifying sword prowess pierced into his body. However, the black-armored man's physical body was equally strong. The terrifying sword prowess couldn't pierce through his body and hit his heart. Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect you to be able to injure me. Looking at the blood flowing out from his body, the black-armored man revealed a trace of admiration. Meanwhile, Yi Chunfeng's heart sank to rock bottom. The art of equipment manipulation was his final trump card, as well as his greatest reliance. But now, he couldn't pierce the black-armored man's heart even after using his trump card. He felt a deep sense of helplessness. Still, he didn't give up, nor did he shrink back. Together with the Phoenix God, he continued to launch fierce attacks. But as time passed, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God's injuries worsened. Meanwhile, the black-armored man grew stronger and stronger as he fought, completely suppressing their injuries. Big Brother Yi, Phoenix God, hurry and come to my side. Just as Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God were about to be defeated, Mu Linger's voice reached their ears. Let's go. Thinking of Mu Linger's heaven-defying methods, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God didn't hesitate to dodge the black-armored man's invincible spear on and fly towards the star nest that Mu Linger had set up. Where do you think you're going? As Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God fled, the black-armored man's entire body became one with the black dragon's spear. Combined with the power of heaven and earth, he stabbed at their backs, hoping to end the battle in one fell swoop. Starry Skies Strike. Seeing Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God vanquished by the black-armored man's attack, Mu Linger suddenly stirred up the entire star nest's power to unleash a resplendent Starry Skies Strike. Whoosh! Space itself couldn't withstand the attack and was torn apart. Crack, crack, crack! Under the astral strike, the invincible spear strike of the black-armored man was shattered. The terrifying astral path slammed into the black-armored man who couldn't evade, directly shattering the armor on his body, destroying his powerful body like crushing dry weeds and breaking rotten wood. Chapter 2055. God's descendants' methods truly surpass mine. You've won. The heavily injured man said with a sigh as he recovered and used his powerful core energy to create a new set of battle armor. He gave Mu Linger a reverent look before sighing. Since we've won, shouldn't we be rewarded now? Mu Linger's pure face turned pale as she dispelled the chains of laws around the star nest. Her voice was pleasant to the ear. I've been guarding a total of 10 great treasures. Since you've defeated me, each of you can take one. So speaking, the black-armored man opened his mouth and spat out the 10 treasures he'd guarded for countless years. However, they were all sealed by powerful restrictions, making it impossible for Yi Chunfeng's group to see through them. We can only take one each? Mu Linger asked unhappily. These 10 great treasures are no trifling matter. Each one of them can cause huge waves in various universes, so you can only take one. The black-armored man nodded. All right then. But before we choose, can you let me touch the 10 great treasures? The pure and lovely Mu Linger didn't force the black-armored man, but scanned the 10 treasures in a row. Sure. The black-armored man nodded, allowing Mu Linger to reach out and touch the treasures one by one. All right, can we choose now? Mu Linger closed her eyes and touched the 10 great treasures one more time before speaking. Of course, the black-armored man said. Big brother Yi, Phoenix God, if you trust me, I'll help you choose your treasures. Mu Linger looked towards Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God as she spoke. Alright, then I'll leave it to you. After learning of Mu Linger's identity, Yi Chunfeng was convinced of her skills and nodded. Big brother Yi, you pick the third one from the left. Phoenix God, you pick the second one from the right. Mu Linger murmured. All right. According to Mu Linger's directions, Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God each chose their own treasures. Meanwhile, Mu Linger picked the centermost treasure. Break! Yi Chunfeng's finger shot out powerful divine energy that pierced through the restrictions. A ball of incomparably pure dark gold blood the size of an egg appeared before Yi Chunfeng's eyes. This is primordial blood. Looking at the dark golden blood in front of him, Yi Chunfeng fell into deep ecstasy. He never expected Mu Linger to pick the strongest primordial blood from his own universe for him. Through the power of the Hong Meng blood, Yi Chunfeng felt that this drop of Hong Meng blood was incomparably pure. It far surpassed the level of the Hong Meng bloodline in his body. If he could refine the primordial blood, he would have the chance to step into the Nihility God realm with the primordial blood. While Yi Phoenix God, the Phoenix God, the Phoenix God, Phoenix God, moves of head. Mu Linger had picked out a nirvana heart for her. A phoenix needed 9 nirvanas in its life to become the strongest divine phoenix in the world. The Phoenix God had completed 7 nirvanas in countless years. With this nirvana's heart, she could complete the 8th nirvanas and enter the complete void god realm. Linger, what kind of blood did you pick? Yi Chunfeng shifted his gaze to Mu Linger and discovered that the treasure she'd chosen was also a drop of blood. But this one was a deep green, so he couldn't tell what it was with his eyesight. This is my great-grandmother's blood. It's extremely useful to me. Mu Linger said calmly. Great-grandmother's, God? Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank as he looked at the dark green drop of blood. He guessed that it had to be the blood of a true god. Looks like the Yulan tomb really does have something to do with the god behind Linger. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself, rejoicing that he'd rescued Mu Linger from the death cave. Without her, he might have died in the Yulan tomb instead of obtaining so many treasures. All right, now that you've picked out your treasures, I'll send you to the Yulan Palace. If you can pass the Yulan and Desolate trials, you'll receive their rewards. After saying that, a huge crack appeared in the endless star nest, and a door of light appeared in the crack. Senior, we'll meet again someday, Mu Linger said sweetly. Then Yi Chunfeng's group of 3 left through the door of light and entered the Yulan Palace in the depths of the main tomb. At the same time, Supreme Emperor Heaven and Supreme God Heaven were still relentlessly attacking the main tomb. Under the assault of the space divine wood and various heaven-defying treasures, the universal laws of nature around the main tomb began to crack. Explode for me! Supreme Emperor Heaven and Supreme God Heaven didn't hold back at all as they pasted talismans containing powerful destructive energy on the entrance of the main tomb, detonating them all. Boom boom boom. Hundreds of talismans powerful enough to kill Void Spirit Realm experts exploded, creating a destructive force that accelerated the rate at which the restrictions were breaking apart. Even the sturdy space began to crack under the impact of the talismans. Divine Body of Slaughter, attack! Eye of Slaughter, exterminate! As the main tomb door cracked more and more, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven summoned the Divine Body of Slaughter and Eye of Slaughter they'd obtained from the Yulan tomb to attack together. They wanted to break through the main tomb's restrictions in one fell swoop and chase after Yi Chunfeng's group inside. The Divine Body of Slaughter and Eye of Slaughter's attacks surpassed ordinary Void Spirit weapons. Moreover, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven didn't hold back in their attacks, increasing the rate at which the main tomb's restrictions were breaking apart. However, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven's ultimate attacks couldn't surpass the limits of the main tomb's restrictions. Although they could tear through the main tomb's restrictions, they couldn't break through them in one fell swoop. Gradually, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven began to feel tired from their relentless attack. The main tomb's restrictions that they'd been tearing apart started to heal rapidly, causing their faces to turn gloomy. If they allowed the main tomb's restrictions to heal, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to break through the restrictions and enter the main tomb. Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven looked at each other. Suddenly, a large amount of Tao light gushed out of their bodies, enveloping the entire space. No one could see what was happening within the Tao light. In the next moment, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven grabbed each other's hands tightly and fused their powers together, forming an illusory human figure that seemed to be formed by endless energy. Following that, the illusory human figure pointed a dark golden finger at the main tomb's restrictions that were healing continuously. Ka. The main tomb's restrictions trembled violently under the attack of the illusory human figure's dark golden finger. The powerful restrictions were breaking apart at an extremely fast speed. In the end, the main tomb's restrictions that contained the three universal laws were shattered by the terrifying dark golden finger. Phew, let's go. We'll chase after the three of them. We can't let them obtain the opportunities in the Yulan tomb. Chapter 2056. River, there's a river in front. After entering the Great Desolation Palace, the Phoenix gods saw from afar an incomparably wide river that flowed slowly like a white dragon. That's not a river, but a dragon vein. Like a fairy, Mu Linger murmured, Big Brother Yi, Phoenix God, can we cultivate in the dragon vein for a while? I want to refine this drop of blood before entering the great desolate palace. Alright, I also want to refine the primordial blood before challenging desolate. Yi Chunfeng nodded. After seeing the black-armored man's strength, Yi Chunfeng felt that he was not strong enough. He wanted to refine the primordial blood and break through to the void god realm before challenging Hong and Desolate. That way, his chances of winning would be higher. Yin 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 Yin. Yi Chunfeng and the other two walked into the huge dragon vein. Loud dragon roars resounded from the dragon vein. The sound was so strong that it shook the 9 heavens. Brother Yi, Phoenix God, let's work together to suppress the dragon vein. Sensing the dragon vein going berserk, Mu Linger's hands quickly twisted to form a mass of chains of rules. She broke through the veins and forcefully suppressed them. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God also summoned their own treasures and unleashed their powerful domains to suppress the dragon vein. After being forcefully suppressed by Yi Chunfeng and the other two, a huge dragon shadow appeared in the dragon vein. It opened its bloody mouth and let out a shocking roar at Yi Chunfeng and the other two. Leave this dragon shadow to me. The Phoenix God stared at the 1,000-meter-long dragon shadow with sharp eyes. She transformed into her phoenix form and went up to meet it. She began to fight with the dragon shadow in the air. After refining the scarlet divine fire, the Phoenix God's strength had increased tremendously. With the divine fire of the Phoenix, it continuously launched ferocious attacks at the dragon shadow, suppressing and shattering its attack. Chains of laws bind. Unable to withstand the Phoenix God's ferocious attacks, Dragon Shadow was forced to retreat again and again. Mu Linger condensed a giant chain of rules that wrapped around the Dragon God and bound him in place. Phoenix Skystrike. The dragon projection was bound by the chains of laws, and the Phoenix God immediately unleashed a lethal attack on it. Scorching divine flames of the Phoenix burst forth with the power to incinerate all things, and it shattered the dragon projection with a single blow. The dragon shadow shattered into a rain of energy that fell from the sky. The restless dragon vein finally calmed down. Brother Yi, Phoenix God, I'm going to cultivate. After successfully suppressing the dragon vein, Mu Linger exhorted before controlling large amounts of law energy to seal off the space around her. Then she swallowed the mysterious green blood into her stomach and began to refine it. What power! Although Mu Linger had sealed off the space around her, Yi Chunfeng could still clearly sense a terrifying aura emanating from her body as soon as she swallowed the pill. Is this the power of a god's? Just a single strand of its aura s. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and distanced himself from the cultivating Mu Linger until he was a few thousand meters away. Then he took out the incomparably pure and powerful primordial blood and swallowed it. Bzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. After swallowing the primordial blood, Yi Chunfeng felt as if he had swallowed a scorching sun. The surging power of the primordial blood exploded in his body, directly bursting open his incomparably strong physical body. Large amounts of blood flowed out through the pores all over his body. Chaos Dharma idol, suppress. His body swelled up more and more as his meridians were torn apart by the primordial blood's power. Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the Chaos Dharma idol to suppress the blood. Under the suppression of the primal Chaos Dharma idol, the speed at which the primordial chaos blood released its bloodline power was constantly slowing down. Enduring the immense pain, Yi Chunfeng unleashed all of his potential to refine the bloodline power released by the primordial chaos blood. While Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger were both cultivating, the Phoenix God began to cultivate as well. Screech, screech, screech. After consuming the incomparably powerful Nirvana heart, a fiery light soared into the sky and dyed the dark space crimson red. Then, attracted by the Phoenix God's body, waves of dragon vein power began to surge into her body. When the Phoenix God had absorbed enough of the dragon vein's power, her entire body exploded into a ball of blazing Phoenix divine fire. Within the Phoenix divine fire, a beating Nirvana heart continued to release powerful energy into the Phoenix God's corpse. It transformed the Phoenix God's body and sped up her eighth Nirvana. Time passed day by day. While Yi Chunfeng's group of 3 were cultivating outside the Great Desolation Palace, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven relied on their absolute strength to break into the universe's starry skies. They were constantly killing enemies in their way as they flew towards the ends of space. However, the universe was too vast. Moreover, they didn't have a deep understanding of the universe's rules, so they couldn't find the exit. As time passed, the 2 of them gradually lost their patience and began to split up. The Great Desolation Palace was heavily sealed off by the Celestial and Demon clans, not giving Yi Chunfeng's group a chance to leave with the treasures. Very soon a month passed. Suddenly, the Nirvana heart that was bathed in divine fire shattered and merged with the blazing divine fire. In the next moment, the divine fire burned brighter and brighter. Phoenix cries could be heard from within the divine fire. Slowly, an incomparably huge phantom of a phoenix appeared within the divine flame. The surging power of the dragon bloodline also fused into the phantom in a frenzy, accelerating the formation of the phantom. Finally, an incomparably huge divine phoenix that emitted a sacred light appeared within the dragon vein. Screech! A high-pitched phoenix cry reverberated throughout the 9 heavens. The Phoenix God had merged with the Nirvana heart and devoured the vast dragon vein power. She had completed a qualitative transformation and transformed into a powerful divine phoenix. She had surpassed the late-stage Nihility God realm and stepped into the Great Perfection Nihility God realm. However, the Great Perfection Nihility God realm wasn't the limit of the Nihility God realm. After that, there were still the Peak Nihility God realm and the Extreme Nihility God realm. However, with the Phoenix God's current strength, she had the strength to fight against Supreme Emperor Heaven or Supreme God Heaven. The Phoenix God controlled the sacred fire to transform into a robe. She sat cross-legged in the dragon vein and continued to cultivate and consolidate her realm. Just as she was consolidating her realm, she was suddenly awakened by a powerful wave of divine power. After refining a large amount of Hong Meng blood, the level of Hong Meng blood in Yi Chunfeng's body had increased by 2 grades. He had almost reached the pinnacle of Hong Meng blood. With the help of the powerful Hong Meng blood, he had broken through the bottleneck of his realm and stepped into the Nihility God realm. Under the enhancement of the Hong Meng blood, his physical strength had reached a terrifying 3 trillion gene. Buzz, 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 The moment Yi Chunfeng stepped into the Nihility God realm, a large number of anomalies appeared in the sky. The power of rules surged towards Yi Chunfeng and turned into invincible divine swords that attacked Yi Chunfeng continuously. They wanted to destroy Yi Chunfeng, who possessed the Hong Meng blood and whose strength had exceeded his realm by too much. However, the Hong Meng blood had transformed Yi Chunfeng too thoroughly. Not only was his physical body comparable to a Nihility God weapon, but his strength had also increased by more than 100 times. Faced with the divine swords formed by the power of rules, Yi Chunfeng didn't dodge. He allowed the swords to attack his body as he madly devoured the power of the dragon vein to consolidate his realm. About 3 days later, a sword on that seemed to be able to pierce through the cosmos erupted from Yi Chunfeng's body. It tore apart the cloud of laws that had gathered above his head. Not long after Yi Chunfeng broke through to the low-level Nihility God realm, Mu Linger had refined the mysterious green blood as well. Although Mu Linger's strength hadn't improved after refining the blood, her aura had become even more otherworldly. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God both felt that the one who had gained the most from this cultivation session wasn't them or the Phoenix God, but Mu Linger. Chapter 2057. Let's go, we're entering the Great Desolation Hall. Mu Linger opened her eyes and walked to Yi Chunfeng's side like a celestial maiden. As she walked, large amounts of law energy surged towards Mu Linger, creating all sorts of illusions around her that made her look even more otherworldly. Linger, what cultivation level have you reached now? Yi Chunfeng was curious about Mu Linger's current strength and asked softly. Big brother Yi, my cultivation level is rather special, but after refining great-grandmother's blood, I've awakened a sliver of my bloodline power. My control over the laws has improved, so I should be able to help you guys defeat the Great Desolation Hall, Mu Linger said in a clear voice. The three of them left the Dragon Vein and arrived at the Great Desolation Palace. It was several dozen meters tall, like a mountain. It was engraved with ancient runes and embedded with 2 ferocious lion heads. Immediately, they felt a pressure that could topple mountains and overturn seas surge towards them through the palace doors. This aura was strong enough to crush even a peak ancestor realm cultivator into mincemeat, but it posed no threat to Yi Chunfeng's group. Withstanding the horrifying pressure, Yi Chunfeng's arms exploded with more than 3 trillion kilograms of strength. He forcefully pushed the palace door, which was hundreds of feet long. The powerful strength continuously tore open the restrictions on the palace door, and the hundreds of millions of kilograms heavy door was slowly pushed open. Let's go, we're entering the Great Desolation Hall. Yi Chunfeng's group walked into the most mysterious Great Desolation Hall of the Great Desolation Tomb to challenge its master, the Great Desolation Hall. Great Desolation! Inside the Great Desolation Hall, Yi Chunfeng saw 2 men at least 6 zhang tall sitting in the center. Their bodies were covered in the light of laws, making them seem like lofty mountains. They gave off an air of supremacy and invincibility. They should be the Great Desolation Hall. Mu Linger glanced at the 2 men with their eyes shut before shifting her gaze to a lifelike statue in the center of the Great Desolate Hall. Linger, is there something wrong with that statue? Yi Chunfeng asked when he saw Mu Linger staring at the statue of a valiant man. He tried to sense the statue repeatedly, but couldn't find anything special about it. That's my great-grandfather's sculpture. Mu Linger's beautiful eyes flickered with emotions as she slowly walked over to the statue. Great-grandfather Ling is slow-witted. It took me so long to get here, but don't worry, Ling will definitely pass the test. Mu Linger gently stroked the statue, her eyes filled with nostalgia as she muttered to herself. Ling this great desolate tomb couldn't have been left behind by your great-grandfather, right? Hearing Mu Linger's words and connecting the dots to her identity, Yi Chunfeng suddenly had a bold guess. No, the wilderness tomb wasn't created by my great-grandfather, but there's a destiny left behind by him here. If I can pass the wilderness tomb's test, Then I can obtain my great-grandfather's destiny and return to our universe. Mu Linger shook her head. Do you think we have a chance of defeating Desolate? Although the three of them had obtained a rare opportunity in the Desolate Tomb and their strength had increased tremendously, the difference in strength between each stage of the virtual god realm was huge. Furthermore, there were two of them, Desolate and Desolate. Yi Chunfeng felt that the chances of him passing Desolate and Desolate's test were very slim. Yes, I believe we can definitely defeat Desolate and Desolate. Mu Linger took a deep breath as she spoke resolutely. Since you're so confident, then let's go challenge Desolate and Desolate. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath. Wait, big brother Yi, I have a destiny for you guys. See if you can get it. Mu Linger suddenly shouted. What destiny? Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God arched their brows as they looked towards Mu Linger. The closer they got to the end, the more precious the destinies in the wilderness tomb were. If they could get their hands on them, they'd be a great help in stabilizing their cultivation in the future. The destiny I'm talking about is in my great-grandfather's statue. Try and see if you can sense it. Mu Linger caressed the statue as she spoke vaguely. All right. Yi Chunfeng and the Phoenix God exchanged glances before coming to the statue's side to lightly touch it. So cold. The instant Yi Chunfeng touched the statue, he felt a wave of cold air enter his body, causing him to tremble. Just what kind of destiny lies within this statue? Yi Chunfeng closed his eyes as he felt the statue's coldness. He controlled the god-devouring brain to rapidly calculate and amplify its powerful soul force as it slowly seeped into the statue. The statue was extremely dense, making it difficult for the god-devouring brain's amplified soul force to penetrate it. Still, Yi Chunfeng wasn't discouraged. He controlled the brain's amplified soul force to slowly seep into the statue. Slowly, his amplified soul power seeped into the statue. Yi Chunfeng sensed a space of nothingness, and within this space, a large number of small white words appeared, flowing slowly. Mnemonic chant. Yi Chunfeng forcibly peeked at the small characters flowing within the statue and discovered that when these small characters combined together, they formed a set of profound chants. This mnemonic chant couldn't have been left behind by a god, right? Yi Chunfeng felt that this set of chants was extremely profound. Furthermore, each small white character contained a strong law energy. He felt that this set of chants was not simple. He cleared away all distracting thoughts and used the God-Eater brain's powerful memory to forcibly imprint each small white character into the God-Eater brain. Because the power of the laws contained within these small characters was too profound, every time Yi Chunfeng tried to memorize them, he would feel a stabbing pain in his head. However, in order to obtain this unprecedented opportunity, Yi Chunfeng endured the pain and quickly memorized them. He forcibly imprinted the hundreds of thousands of small white characters into the God-Eater's brain. Big brother Yi, did you manage to memorize it? Seeing Yi Chunfeng bleeding from his 7 orifices and his face ashen, Mu Linger took out a pure white handkerchief to gently wipe away the bloodstains on his face. I basically memorized it. Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief, then opened his tightly shut eyes. Although the Phoenix God was far stronger than Yi Chunfeng, she didn't have the god-devouring brain, so her soul couldn't enter the statue. Thus, she missed out on this unprecedented opportunity. Big brother Yi, try cultivating it. This is a move that my great-grandfather once cultivated. If you can comprehend it, you might be able to use it to defeat Hong and Huang. Mu Linger said. All right. Thinking of Mu Linger's great-grandfather, Yi Chunfeng adjusted his breathing to recover. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground and used the god-devouring brain to quickly deduce and cultivate. Myriad gods' extermination, myriad gods' tribulation. When Yi Chunfeng put the white characters together in the god-devouring brain, a profound mnemonic chant appeared in his soul sea. Yi Chunfeng quickly skimmed through it and knew the name of the chant. Myriad gods' tribulation. The supreme art Yi Chunfeng had comprehended in the Tomb of Slaughter had the same name. Could these two supreme arts have come from the same mnemonic chant? Yi Chunfeng guessed in his heart before clearing away all distracting thoughts to cultivate. As expected, the myriad gods' tribulation I comprehended in the Tomb of Slaughter came from the same mnemonic chant. It's just that the one in the statue is more complete and powerful. With a foundation for cultivation, Yi Chunfeng's speed in comprehending the mnemonic chant increased greatly. Rumble. While Yi Chunfeng was studying the mnemonic chant without rest, a huge rumble came from outside the Great Desolation Hall. Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven had joined forces to break through the cosmos and arrive outside the Great Desolation Hall. Big Brother Yi, those two villains are here. You can't keep cultivating. Let's hurry up and challenge Hong and Huang. As long as we challenge them, they won't have a chance. Mu Linger knew full well how terrifying Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven were, so she quickly woke up Yi Chunfeng, who was focused on comprehending the myriad gods' extermination and myriad gods' tribulation moves. Supreme Emperor Heaven, Supreme God Heaven is here. Yi Chunfeng's eyes flew open as he rose to his feet. All right, let's go challenge Hong and Huang. Chapter 2058. Hong, Huang, we want to challenge you. Hurry and wake up. Mu Linger bit her finger and squeezed out 2 drops of essence blood that melted into Hong and Huang's foreheads, waking them up from their slumber. Descendants of God. As soon as Hong and Huang awoke from their slumber, they opened their eyes and looked at Mu Linger. Immediately, they sensed her unusual aura and revealed a strange expression on their faces. Before you challenge us, you must be mentally prepared. If you fail, we'll kill you. Even if you're a descendant of God, you won't be spared. Hong, whose entire body was bursting with explosive muscles and long black hair draped over his shoulders, spoke up. He gave off an unruly air. We've decided to challenge you, Yi Chunfeng and the other two said in unison. Then will you challenge one of us or all of us? The tall and sturdy Hong continued to ask. All of us. Although the 3 of them knew it was much more difficult to challenge both Hong and Huang at the same time, they didn't want to leave Hong and Huang's fortunes to Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven. Hold on. Suddenly, a deep voice rang out. Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven pushed open the heavy doors of their tombs and shouted. We want to challenge you as well. Supreme God Heaven, dressed in dark golden robes and surrounded by Tao intent, said loudly. You're too late. If the 3 of them fail, you can continue. The giant Huang said emotionlessly as he glanced at the 2 from Supreme God Heaven. Then what if I kill all 3 of them? Supreme God Heaven said domineeringly. The 3 of them have already accepted the challenge. No one is allowed to harm them or die. Huang declared. Is that so? Then this God would like to see how you'll protect them. The 2 from Supreme God Heaven had long wanted to kill Yi Chunfeng's group. They suddenly summoned 2 void god weapons and attacked Yi Chunfeng's group, wanting to destroy them in one blow. You're seeking death. Desolation suddenly took a step forward, using his towering body to block Yi Chunfeng and the other 2. He then threw a punch at the 2 people from Supreme Divine Heaven. With a punch, the space in front of Desolation shattered. The terrifying fist light seemed to be able to pierce through the cosmos, shattering the 2 void god artifacts' rays and pushing back the Supreme Divine Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven. Nihility God Paramount Ability. The 2 people from Supreme Divine Heaven took a deep breath and suppressed the surging blood in their hearts. The way they looked at Huang changed greatly. Supreme Emperor Heaven, Supreme God Heaven, although they were strong, they only had 1 foot in the peak of Nihility God Realm. There was still an insurmountable distance from Nihility God Realm. They could vaguely guess Hong and Desolate's strength, and they couldn't help but reveal a trace of reverence. If you guys continue to be impudent, don't blame us for annihilating you. After forcing the 2 from Supreme Divine Heaven back with a single punch, Desolation warned in a domineering manner. All right, we'll wait for their challenge. The two from Supreme Divine Heaven quickly communicated with each other. In the end, they gave up on the idea of using their final trump card and didn't attack again. Although Yi Chunfeng and the other two's speed of improvement shocked them, after witnessing Hong and Desolation's strength, they believed that even if Yi Chunfeng and the other two had 3 heads and 6 arms, they wouldn't be able to succeed in the challenge. The 3 of you, come with us. Hong glanced at the two from Supreme Divine Heaven coldly and lightly waved his arm. He directly tore open the space and opened a mysterious gate. Remember, once you enter the gate, you can't turn back. If the 3 of you can't defeat the 2 of us, it will be your grave. After saying that, Hong and Desolation stepped into the mysterious gate. Yi Chunfeng, Phoenix, I don't know if I'm really stupid or not. You guys actually have the guts to challenge Nihility God Realm Expert. If I were you guys, I would have left after obtaining the treasures of the universe. Supreme Divine Heaven deliberately said as he looked at Yi Chunfeng and the other two from afar. What? Nihility God Realm Experts can't be defeated? Yi Chunfeng laughed coldly and didn't back down. Supreme Divine Heaven, I thought you were someone, but now it looks like you're just a coward. People like you have no way of reaching the peak of martial arts. Alright, Chunfeng, let's ignore those 2 old dogs. Sooner or later, this god will personally twist off their heads and chop them into mincemeat to feed the pigs. The Phoenix god taunted as he looked at the 2 masterminds behind the scenes who had almost overthrown the demon race. Alright, big brother Yi, Phoenix god, let's go. Don't you think it's beneath you to talk to them? Mu Linger added. Although Supreme Divine Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven were shrewd, they were still annoyed by Yi Chunfeng and the other two's mockery. But they were apprehensive of Hong and Desolation's strength. Although they hated them to the core, they didn't make a move. Linger, you're right. A dog bites a man, but a man can't have a dog. Yi Chunfeng nodded and slowly walked towards them. Big brother Yi, you're so bad. You're insulting dogs. Mu Linger revealed a sweet smile, none of her nervousness before a great battle. Supreme Emperor, do you think they're holding some trump card we don't know about? Seeing Yi Chunfeng and Mu Linger so relaxed, the gloomy Supreme Divine Heaven caught a whiff of something unusual and asked in a low voice. It's very possible. Supreme Emperor Heaven nodded and said with killing intent, however, even if they really defeat Desolate and obtain the most precious opportunity in the Desolate Tomb, they can forget about escaping from our hands. Everything here will belong to us. The starry skies, the endless starry skies. After entering the gate, Yi Chunfeng discovered that the 3 of them were once again under the endless starry skies. Meanwhile, Hong and Desolation were like 2 pillars that supported the heavens as they stared coldly at the 3 of them. Defeat me and obtain our inheritance. The loser dies. Hong summoned a dragon-patterned spear while Desolation gripped the snake-headed spear as it spoke in a domineering tone. Big brother Yi, Phoenix god, I'll weaken their strength as soon as possible. You guys attack their hearts with all your might. As long as we can shatter them, we'll have a chance at victory. Mu Linger kept trying to control the laws of the universe as she transmitted. All right. Mu Linger was the key to defeating Hong and Desolation. As long as she weakened them, they'd have a chance at victory. Suppression of laws. Mu Linger took a deep breath as her entire body erupted with dazzling light. She merged with the starry skies and forcefully connected with the laws of the universe to suppress Hong and Desolation. As expected of a descendant of a god. Her methods are formidable. Sensing that they'd suddenly lost control of the starry skies, Hong and Desolation couldn't help but praise Mu Linger's methods. Phoenix god, I'll be right there. When Yi Chunfeng saw the rolling waves of laws bearing down on Hong and Desolation, he merged with the primordial chaos Dharma idol and God's spirit heart. Then he burned his powerful primordial blood to raise his strength to the peak of the late void spirit realm. At the same time, the god of Phoenix transformed into its most powerful combat form. It unleashed the combat strength of a great void god and attacked Hong and Desolation. Humph, you think you can defeat us with the suppression of the universe's laws? Desolation gave a cold snort as his powerful body erupted with destructive power. He stabbed the snake-headed spear at Yi Chenfeng. Slash! Space was torn apart as a force of more than 10 trillion gene tore through everything. The spear tore through Yi Chenfeng and the Phoenix God's attacks and sent them flying. Chapter 2059. Laws of the Universe, the Strongest Suppression. Mu Linger saw that Yi Chenfeng and the Phoenix God were both injured. Their bodies had completely merged with the cosmos to control the laws of the universe to suppress Hong and Huang and limit their strength. But even if Mu Linger spared no expense in suppressing them, Hong and Huang were still much stronger than Yi Chenfeng and the Phoenix God. Boom! Desolation, who had an invincible physical body, threw out another punch. The terrifying fist aura shattered the entire space. It was like a spatial black hole, swallowing Yi Chenfeng and the Phoenix God, forcing them to dodge with all their might. As Yi Chenfeng and the Phoenix God dodged, Hong spat out an earthen yellow divine flame that burned at Yi Chenfeng and the Phoenix God. After 8 rebirths, the Phoenix God's divine flame had evolved to a terrifying level. But against Hong's earthen yellow flames, it could still sense the difference in levels. As soon as the two met, the Phoenix divine flame was engulfed, unable to block its attack. Could this be the legendary primordial divine flame? The Phoenix God felt an instinctive fear at the sight of the earthen yellow flames burning through space. It retreated thousands of meters with Yi Chenfeng, not daring to get any closer. What do we do, Chenfeng? The primordial divine flame is one of the 3 great divine flames of the universe. It can burn through everything. My Phoenix divine flame can't resist at all. The Phoenix God never expected to lose to Mu Linger while Hong and Huang were restrained. It couldn't help but ask for help from Yi Chenfeng. Don't be discouraged. As long as we do our best, we'll definitely have a chance. Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and activated his unrivaled sword body. Tens of thousands of divine swords slashed into the primordial divine flame and extinguished it. When Yi Chenfeng executed the 10,000 ancestral swords and attacked the desolate divine fire with all his might, Desolation, who had an invincible physical body, suddenly appeared beside Yi Chenfeng and punched him. Crack, crack, crack. Under the attack of the fist, Yi Chenfeng's invincible divine sword was continuously shattered. The terrifying fist light devoured everything as it bombarded Yi Chenfeng. Huang's fist was too sudden. The fist radiance that could devour everything was unimaginably fast, making it impossible for Yi Chenfeng to dodge. He could only continuously use the 3 supreme divine abilities to defend with all his might. However, the difference in strength between Yi Chenfeng and Desolation was too great. The 3 supreme divine abilities he used in succession couldn't withstand Desolation's attack at all. They shattered continuously. He was even sent flying by Desolation's punch. His entire body exploded, turning into a cloud of blood mist. Undying divine ability. With his fleshly body destroyed, Yi Chenfeng immediately used his undying divine technique to repair his body. However, the power of Desolation's punch was enough to destroy a void god artifact. It had damaged his foundation. Even if he had repaired his physical body, his injuries were still severe. Interesting. I didn't expect that with your strength. You would still be alive after taking a punch from me. Seeing Yi Chenfeng heal his body in an instant, Huang spoke coldly, his voice tinged with surprise. Chenfeng, are you all right? The Phoenix God asked anxiously after using all his strength to extinguish the primordial divine flame by Yi Chenfeng's side and saw his ashen face. I'm fine, I can still hold on. Yi Chenfeng's heart was filled with despair, but he didn't show it. Instead, he took a deep breath. Big brother Yi, Phoenix God, hold on for another incense stick of time. At most that'll be enough for me to gather enough energy to heavily injure them. Then you'll have a chance to defeat him. Mu Linger, who'd merged with the stars, transmitted back when she saw Yi Qinfeng's serious injuries. Alright. Hearing Mu Linger's transmission, Yi Qinfeng grit his teeth and said, Life Spirit Art, burn 100,000 years of lifespan. After breaking through to the empty God realm, Yi Qinfeng had a lifespan of a few 100,000 years. However, burning 100,000 years of his lifespan in one go had greatly damaged the foundation of his life. However, at this moment, he could no longer care so much. Using the sudden burst of life force, Yi Qinfeng suppressed the injuries on his body and forcefully raised his strength to the complete late empty God realm. Phoenix God, don't fight them head-on. Do your best to stall for time. Yi Qinfeng transmitted to the Phoenix God. Alright. The Phoenix God nodded and transformed into her true form. She separated from Yi Qinfeng and dodged Hong and Huang's attacks. After refining the heart of Nirvana and undergoing 8 Nirvanas, the Phoenix God had transformed into a divine phoenix. Her flying speed was even faster than before. As she dodged with all her might, neither Hong's primordial flames nor his power of laws could hurt Yi Qinfeng at all. After Yi Qinfeng's strength increased, his movement speed increased as well. Under the effects of 50x time flow, he kept dodging Huang's invincible fists to stall for time. What's the point of dodging? Huang gave a cold snort and suddenly used the time laws to slow down its entire body. 100x time deceleration. The god-devouring brain, which was rapidly deducing, sensed that Desolate's movement speed had decreased by 100 times in an instant. It immediately smelled a deep sense of danger and retreated quickly. However, it couldn't dodge Desolate's snake-headed spear. Tao of Equipment Control. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng used up all the divine energy in his body to unleash the Tao of Equipment Control. He activated the 2 Void God weapons' strongest attacks and slashed at the snake-headed spear that was piercing through the void and stirring up the power of laws. Buzz buzz! When the 2 Void God weapons clashed with the snake-headed spear, the burst of power instantly blocked the fatal attack of the snake-headed spear. Yi Qinfeng seized this opportunity and flew a few thousand meters away from Huang, who had the strength to kill him in an instant. Ka. Huang's arms erupted with billions of gene of strength and strengthened the attack of the snake-headed spear. The spear knocked away the divine sword Devour Heaven and Myriad Origin sword. Then, it executed 100x time acceleration to attack Yi Qinfeng. When the invincible snake-headed spear pierced over, the starry river lost its color and the sun and moon lost their light. The tyrannical attack shocked the universe. Desolation's comprehension of time far surpassed Yi Qinfeng's. Facing the attack of the snake-headed spear that was hundreds of times stronger, Yi Qinfeng summoned the withered divine wood of time from the universe realm. Although the divine wood of time had withered and lost its attacking power, it could still destroy all the time laws, preventing Huang from using the time laws to attack him. Divine wood of time. You actually have the divine wood of time. No matter which universe it was, time was the most mysterious existence. Seeing Yi Qinfeng summon the divine wood of time, Huang revealed a look of surprise. Under the protection of the withered divine wood of time, Huang's grasp of the time laws was constantly being countered. Without the time amplitude, Yi Qinfeng dodged all of Huang's attacks. Meanwhile, Huang's attacks couldn't threaten the Phoenix God, who was dodging with all its might. Time passed minute by minute. As time went by, Desolate and Desolate gradually lost their patience. They joined hands and continued to attack Yi Qinfeng with destructive power. As for Yi Qinfeng's injuries, they continued to worsen as Hong and Desolate's attacks became more and more ferocious. Just as the two of them were on the verge of collapsing, Mu Linger suddenly opened her eyes. Countless chains of laws furiously fused into her head, forming 2 spears that were hundreds of zhang long that locked onto Hong and Huang.